A very good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Sean.
This is Alex.
I'm Ian.
And this is Sven.
And you're listening to part 2 of our 100th anniversary episode. No, 100th anniversary episode. Our 100th episode anniversary special. We're not that old. None of us are close to dying, hopefully. And anyway, if you were listening to this episode, of this party episode first, I do kindly recommend that you go back to our first party episode, because really you're just tuning into part 2. And if you are here naturally, welcome back. We're on part 2 of this single episode that's split in half.
Because we are terrible at time management.
Because our time management wasn't very well managed.
They're like, oh, we can fit this podcast.
Like, you know what?
90
At
minutes.
least there's 40 coasters that we have extensively talked about in part 1.
What we got was really, it was great. Like, the last episode was great. It was just like, we should have known that this was going to take like 3 hours to do everything in our script.
Yeah.
We should have known better.
But it's okay. We learned a lot.
Mostly about ourselves.
Mostly about ourselves. In this party episode, we're going to continue on with more rides, but now at least we're diversifying beyond roller coasters for a little bit. And we're going to talk about some of our top 5s. Again, we mostly designed these to be complementary to one another, so that's why at least there's a fun variety of attractions mentioned. And our first selection of top 5s is dark rides. Ian,
Yay.
tell me.
Hey, I'll kick us off. So I am our very much American-bound correspondent. So all my choices are in the U.S., but I think there's some great dark rides here in the U.S. My first choice is the original Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. I think it's iconic, great, and I always forget how great it is until I like sit back and watch a POV, and I'm like, that is a great dark ride. Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland, the Calico Mine Ride at Knott's Berry Farm, which the refurb just is so good and is still so good. In terms of classic dark rides, you can't beat the Haunted Mansion at Knoebels. And then I also love, in terms of like kind of 70s and 60s era dark rides, the Monster Mansion at Six Flags Over Georgia, which got refurbed and is just a delight.
I'm just loving the amount of mansions that are mentioned.
This is a real mansion. Now that you mention it, there's a
Yeah.
lot of mansions.
Now that you mention it,
Also, oh my goodness. Also, Sean, you should take your paper back, because if the coasters deserve
Yes.
to have like...
Pen,
Oh, that's a
paper.
very
I was
good
ready,
point.
Svenjamin.
And here, I think we have 4 already that we wrote.
Yeah, because the only thing I'm missing... Well, which one are you missing, Sven?
I'm missing Knoebels.
Knoebels, okay.
Knoebels.
Have I written
You
one of
went to- I
Knoebels?
forgot-
yeah, I
have
took
written
you
one.
on that. It was scary. That one is genuinely, there's some jump scares in that I hate.
It's
I
so
barely
good.
remember it.
You probably blocked it out because of like the trauma.
Yeah, sure, okay.
If it wasn't the trauma of like being on that ride, it was the trauma of being in Ellisburg, Pennsylvania.
I know, it was a creepy town.
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole country has its
And I
charms.
well, and I really love the Monster Mansion.
That is such
Isn't
a
that
great,
such-
that's
so
such a
great?
gem.
Such an iconic ride. Like, it's not something you expect at a Six Flags park, for sure.
True.
Definitely not.
It's
And I think,
iconic.
and
like,
it's so popular.
oh yeah, they have T-shirts. It's like the one thing that has like fun retro T-shirts at Six Flags Over Georgia, which is a shame because they have some really great rides. And I always like to mention Haunted Mansion at Knoebels only because what's interesting is it's not actually like an old school dark ride from like the 40s or 50s, but they basically just bought components from Pretzel Dark Rides and, you know, all sorts of other dark rides and mashed them together, which I think is just kind of amazing. Like, so all these like old dark rides are kind of living on in this Frankenstein dark ride at Knoebels.
I actually didn't know that, but
I
it
didn't
makes
know that
complete
either.
sense.
It's
It's very
totally-
Knoebels
totally
thing
on
to do.
brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Knoebels.
Kind of like the weird mine roller coaster thing you've got going on.
Yes,
It
Black
also
Diamond.
feels very
Black
pushed together,
Diamond,
you
yeah.
know?
That would have been another good one to include on this list. I mean, it's a roller coaster, but it's also a dark ride. It's a very nice.
Well, we'll say in these
Hybrid.
next categories, the lines are very blurred. I mean, while putting it together, I was like, is this technically like a water coaster or
Yeah.
a dark ride? Or,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like, so
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get some blurred lines there.
I love,
Okay.
obviously, Calico Mine Ride is also sorely underrated.
Yeah, that is a good ride. That's one of the few rides open for Sven when he went to Knott's, so.
True.
Well, I think that unfortunately, like the Big Timber log ride gets a lot of attention, as it should. But Calico Mine Ride is like just as good in terms of the animatronics and the storytelling and the charm aspects. It just doesn't have
100%.
that drop.
Yeah.
And that smell inside is like distinct. I can smell that ride just sitting here.
Absolutely, just like cards, like
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Yeah, it's like iconic. Alrighty, are you ready for the next top 5?
Yeah.
Yes, it's my turn. So I'm starting off with Rise of the Resistance. For my sake, it's at Walt Disney World because I'm still to ride the other one soon next year. Then Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, which I've ridden 2 of them, but I think I have a slight preference for my most recent experience at Walt Disney World. Then Indiana Jones Adventure at Disneyland, because that's one of my favorite rides there for sure at the resort. Pirates of the Caribbean, but this time the Disneyland Paris version.
Yeah,
Because
cute.
obviously we have some unique sides to it, because we have the concept how it was supposed to be.
Right.
And we also have Barbossa in a very cool setting. And the Disneyland train that runs through right next to the dark ride, so that's cool as well. And then my favorite dark ride at Efteling is Fata Morgana, so that one
So cool.
had to be included as
I
well.
love that ride.
I mean,
so
can't argue with this top
much.
5.
No.
Very solid,
This is
very
so
strong. I
Yeah.
think all of us.
And I do
agree.
have some experience in dark rides, so
Yes,
Very true.
You are the dark ride guy.
You are.
Well, Forbidden Journey, of course. I mean,
That's
that is
Sean's.
like.
That's really kind of like your
my forever
your
icon.
still my
and
favorite
all.
Potter ride for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, for sure. And I mean, I will literally go to Iowa and only ride that and do that repeatedly and not ride anything else because
That was
I
us
love
actually
that ride.
2 days ago. We rode Forbidden Journey and then,
And then
we
left,
and
because-
recorded part 1 of this podcast.
Sorry.
Daisy's like,
We
"Oh,
have
yeah."
another
My
friend
dog's-
in the podcast.
My dog's having a moment. She's seeing something outside. I was
Having
going to
a
say, so
moment,
Indiana
beloved.
Jones to me is so interesting because you forget how old it is, if that makes sense. Like, the way that thing is still this weird, like, high standard of what is, like, reset the standard of what a dark ride could be, I don't think can be overstated, like, historically.
Absolutely.
You know what's interesting about this dark ride? I did not used to like it at all. I used to be not necessarily a hater, but when I first went to Disneyland, this was actually not that high on my burner because I thought that the sheer amount of black hallways, which they fixed
Yeah.
a lot of that in recent remodels, but I used to think, oh my god, this ride is kind of a waste of space. In certain places, it doesn't do anything. Where know now, of course, that's fixed. So I appreciate the ride much more. We've traveled much more. I'm a big fan of Indiana Jones now. 100%.
Yeah, whether you ride the Anaheim one or the Tokyo Disney Sea one, you're just in for like such a top shelf.
Yeah. So I
dark
mean,
ride
yeah, now I love
experience.
it. But yeah, I used to really not be that big of a fan. Funny enough.
Interesting.
Plus, also that ride system is so unique in terms of dark rides. and
Yeah. We actually rode Dinosaur today. That was the one ride that we rode today, and we're like, it was our last ride on Dinosaur before
Cannot
it
wait
scheduled to close to
for that to
become
change.
the 3rd
Yeah.
iteration of Indiana Jones Adventure. We were so excited.
I'm glad I still got to ride it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, at least you could say you wrote it.
Yeah.
The retro vibe of it is something.
Very retro, very
It's one way of putting it. It's so
poor
nice.
budget,
Yeah.
very budget cutty.
Very McDonald's Playhouse. Okay, hold up, guys. So how many of these have we all written? You have Fojo, at least, Ian,
It's
right?
just Indiana Jones and Forbidden Journey for me. So it's 2.
Okay, that's 2. Okay, that's good though. We're at 7
Yeah.
already.
And
I
I
still have to
do,
do
six,
Rise of the
six.
Resistance.
I haven't actually had a chance to get to Disneyland since it opened, only because I keep going to California and being like, I don't want to deal with this. I need to deal with it. But
That's
I
fair.
feel bad. Going to Disney parks is such a chore for me. There's virtual queue. Like, which queue system am I supposed to be using? This is where having a travel agent like Sean is very helpful to help you plan your
I
vacation.
know, they make it complicated these days.
It can get real
Totally.
complicated.
They don't make it
and every
easy.
time I looked into it,
Unless
I'm
you go
like,
to
I just
Disneyland
wanna-
Paris, and then it's pretty easy.
Right. It's just like I
far.
want to just be able to go into Anaheim like I used to when I was younger. You know what I mean? Like, it used to be such an easy affair to just go to Disneyland, and now it's like
It was.
it's
Disneyland in the 90s was so easy.
so easy, and it's no longer. So I think I'm like just clinging on to the ease of that, what it once was.
So, and I'm glad you differentiated your Disneyland Paris Pirates of the Caribbean, because all the Pirates of the Caribbeans are great. And
Not Magic Kingdoms. Continue.
well, oh yeah, that's true. You're right. Not all of them are great. I mean, Magic Kingdoms isn't terrible,
Like the called great is.
but it's definitely the least good one. And then Tokyo's is like a less good version of Anaheim's, except it has all the old scenes.
Right.
So like the pirates still chase the women. Obviously, you still have the wife selling scene and like all that.
I feel like there's 3 tiers of Pirates Dark Rides. You have the special and magnificent tier, which is the Shanghai one, because it's like its own thing.
Yeah.
But then you have like the greatness tier, which is
Premium
both
tier.
Anaheim and Paris are
And
like
Paris.
greatness. And then you have the like okay tier for
The
me.
okay tier.
And that's Magic Kingdom and Tokyo. I don't think
Like,
anyone
the
could argue.
scale-
Yeah,
still great,
I think
but,
that's
like-
a fair assessment.
But like, I don't think I haven't been to one in Florida, but from all accounts, like Fata Morgana. Wow, why did I say what was that? Is like blows it out of the water when it comes to large scale.
I love
like,
Fata Morgana. Is
Dark
just
Ride.
so good.
Yeah, I still.
That's my favorite ride at
Sven,
Epcot.
would you take it over Pirates, Fata Morgana?
No.
No.
I mean, that's fair, because the drops
That
on
is
Pirates
fair.
are so fun.
Right.
Pirates has been revamped a little bit more
Yeah,
compared
true.
to Fata Morgana.
In terms of animation.
But of course, Fata Morgana is a bit more unique, and
Kinda
I feel
scary.
like the newer generation of theme park fans is losing interest in those kinds of rides. So, I see where it's going. You know,
Right.
Sven, are you saying it's going to get removed?
there's been rumors.
Oh, Sven, man.
That Fata Morgana is going.
No, this is a Dutch icon.
It is.
Stable.
It's
culture.
It's a very foreboding, serious, intense ride, and it doesn't have the same reverence that some of the other Efteling dark rides have. So I guess that wouldn't surprise me,
Oh,
but I
I
would
love
be
this ride.
devastated.
Okay, well, I don't want to get sad, so we need to continue. Next top 5.
Am I doing mine or?
Yeah, we're doing
okay.
yours. We're working.
Okay, so my top 5. I did mine last, but it was helpful that everybody else did theirs, because unlike roller coasters, dark rides and water rides and stuff feels so broad for me that I'm like, I don't even have a complete list of water rides and dark rides that I've ridden. So I'm like, what if I'm forgetting things that are important? But reading everybody else's top 5s helped me, and like using that like from process of elimination, I found 5 that were like obvious that I'm like, well, we need to talk about these, and I love these. The Amazing Spider-Man at Islands of Adventure is kind of like my. If someone asked me like, what's your number 1 dark ride, I would have a hard time saying something other than that. Symbolica at Efteling, Final Sea Battle at Wuchi Sunak Land, which is a Spider-Man style dark ride, but with a Pirates of the Caribbean style theme. Storybook Voyages of Sinbad at Tokyo Disney Sea, and Phantom Manor, the haunted mansion at Disneyland Paris.
Phantom Manor.
The set
Cute
pieces
list.
are so cool.
I couldn't believe like nobody else picked Phantom Manor. Like between Sven and Sean, I expected that to not even be something that I could pick.
Okay,
because
but
else
asking
was
someone to
picking
pick the top 5 dark rides, I mean, I love dark rides.
Yeah.
Like, it was difficult
hard.
for me.
Well, and this also
Sorry, I
sounds
didn't put
bad,
that one
but we
there.
have 2 Europeans, and like they just are awash in a riches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Efteling is like, we don't have a place like Efteling in the United States. If you want to ride a good high budget dark ride, your choices are Disney or Universal. There's no like third option or fourth option where you get a premium dark ride experience that is not like, you know, Pirates of the Caribbean or dinosaurs or something.
Yeah, it's sad.
Storybook Voyages of Sinbad is sort of like Phantom Arcana, but like it's a small world version of Phantom Arcana.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
way of
it's
putting
a
it.
lot more family friendly. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I'm surprised you didn't put Small World, Alex.
I do love Small World so much, but like there was just more important things of greater significance that needed to be on this list, like Sinbad. Like we named our cat after the tiger companion in Storybook Voyages of Sinbad. Like that ride is part of our family history forever.
I will say it's one of the most underrated rides in the world. People don't really mention that ride a lot, but it really is one of the best Disney rides.
It's
the
just
story
beautiful.
before
It's
just
got
a-
everything.
you know?
It's got the song. It's got the source material. It's got the animatronics, the set design. Everything is just
Yeah, it's a complete package.
perfection on that ride.
But it's hard, like we mentioned last part of the episode, is that anything in Disney Sea is just one of those things where it's like,
yeah.
well, yeah, everything is great, so nothing stands out.
There's obviously great dark rides at Disney
You know?
Sea that didn't make this cut because, like, the top 5 dark rides at Disney Sea are better than the top 1 dark ride at most parks.
Well,
And then, well, Symbolica is cool.
Symbolica is, I think, still my favorite trackless dark ride. I think it's narrowly beating out other really strong contenders like Zootopia and Mystic Manor. And I think for me, I'm
For
just
me,
happy.
Symbolica
Oh, go ahead.
was a ride that needed to grow on me. Like, it's still not my favorite dark ride at Efteling, but I can appreciate all it wants to do, and it keeps on changing. Like, they keep fine-tuning things. They just fixed the giant whale scene, so it's good
Which
to
I wrote
see
it
that
like a
they
week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago,
investing.
and the whale scene wasn't working, but it's okay. I didn't know they fixed it, and then I
I would
wrote it,
agree
and I
with
was like,
you. I mean,
worse
it's
than
still
Will.
it's still my
Yeah.
only my third
That's
favorite
strange.
dark ride
Yeah.
at Efteling. But I still wouldn't say
Yes.
that there's a trackless dark ride that I like better than Symbolica.
interesting.
Mostly because I just love the premise and I love that it's something that is unique to Efteling.
For me, it combines all of the Eftelingness into one ride.
Yeah.
But isn't Spider-Man in the trackless dark ride?
No, it has
No,
a track.
it's track.
That's
Oh, okay.
like a different kind. Now, Spider-Man, that's like, the Transformers style dark
Yeah.
ride. And like, Spider-Man was
Yeah.
like the day that my whole life changed. Because when I wrote that in 1999, and I just remember being flabbergasted. And mind you, I was 8 years old, but I was already extremely jaded. I had already ridden Indiana Jones Adventure at Disneyland. So I was already aware of like where the standard was. And then Spider-Man just like took it to another level, and kind of like what Ian was saying earlier, where like despite its age, Indiana Jones is still like an extremely high bar, a super timeless ride that still feels extremely advanced and apropos in the marketplace. And Spider-Man is right there with it, because every time I ride Spider-Man, I'm just mystified at how satisfying and well done it is. And then thinking back to like this ride opened in the 90s, and it still feels like the be-all, end-all 3D dark ride experience. Like, no other 3D-based ride in my mind, it, like, comes close to Spider-Man. Not even close.
I will say, while I do really like Spider-Man, for me there's always something about rides that are primarily screen-heavy, where every single event takes place on a screen, that for me doesn't necessarily rank as high. If you have a couple screens that portray a story, like for Journey, like the transitions,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of physical sets that tell part of the story, then I can appreciate a nice screen. But I feel like for the Spider-Man and Transformers and extension to that, every single scene where anything happens that
Transformers
has any sort of
for me
meaning behind
is
it,
way too
it's always a
screen-heavy.
screen.
Spider-Man, I think, is a nice balance. There's some nice props. There's some physical things. There's lighting, fire. Like, there's a lot of like different kinds of things that Spider-Man does, but it is very screen-heavy. And when you compare it to a ride that has no screens, it's just sometimes the set design of a ride like Phantom Arcana feels a lot more like art. It feels more enriching than like anything that it requires 3D glasses. But still one of my absolute favorites. I still prefer it over Forbidden Journey, and it will always be a contentious admission between me and Sean.
Love that for you. And next up, we're going to move to my top 5, which includes Jurassic World Adventure at Universal Studios Beijing.
Amazing.
I'm sure most people have seen that ride online at some point. Pirates of the Caribbean, Battle for Sunken Treasure at Shanghai Disneyland. Deep Sea Odyssey at Chimelong Ocean Kingdom. Journey to the Center of the Earth at Tokyo Disney Sea. And Droomvlucht at Efteling, because all the Efteling rides seem to be represented.
So
These are like the 20 best dark rides in the world, you guys. We did great.
As someone who has not been to Efteling, our token non-person who's actually stepped foot in the country, that is the one ride that has always like been my number one for that park. Like, I don't know what it is about it, but something about like the level, the fantasy, like the abstract nature of it, like the lack of a storyline. It's like, this is something that I can find nowhere else, and I have to go to the Netherlands for this. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's the most quintessentially Efteling
I think
thing.
it is the signature Efteling experience.
It is. I agree completely, and so I just want to put my 2 cents that like it is something that haunts my dreams one day.
I couldn't have said it any better. I love that they didn't concern themselves with too much. They were like, we just want to build a ride that's a total vibe.
It's a vibe.
It transcends language. There's no story arc. You just go there to be there.
And it's perfect to attract international audiences. I think, you know, the whole point of Efteling became to become an international resort, and this was built to kind of combat up-and-coming Disneyland Paris. And so it was nice to have something that doesn't require a single word, and it's a very mystical, pretty long adventure. Without the, you know, easy for international audiences. It's so easy.
And just a neat ride. It does some neat things.
And potentially,
and it feels very unique, even though it's pretty old.
Yeah. Yeah. We counted it.
Sven, do you count it?
No.
Sven hates us for that.
No, but I completely understand people that count it, but I feel like
you don't understand it enough to do it yourself.
For me, yeah, true. For me personally, it's all about the dark ride experience. And,
yeah, absolutely.
You know, but that one, the planet scene is still one of the best ever done.
Yes,
in any
the original
dark ride,
Super Mario Galaxy. That's what I think of when I see that.
Yes.
By the way, I'm surprised that you didn't put Piraten in Batavia. Sean and Alex.
I do love that ride.
I do love that ride.
She's a little new.
But here's the problem, Sven. With this top 5 situation, there are so many incredible dark rides out there. And I really do think over the years I've become a dark ride enthusiast.
Big time.
It's very much like, for me, a lot of the travel is like,
I do count them. I have a counter of them.
Oh, I should really get a counter going.
Yeah.
We need to talk about that later. But
water rides too.
I'm really starting to love dark rides, and there's just some really cool ones in Asia that I think are just blowing me away more. I mean, Jurassic World Adventure, I was kind of expecting it to be very good, but it really was the one saving grace of that resort. Universal Studios Beijing, who barely paid me to go there unless for this ride.
That ride is carrying.
But that ride, it just carries the resort. Oh my god, it's just mind blowing. I want it in all the Universal parks. It didn't feel like Universal because I feel like Universal, besides Potter, generally speaking, I think Universal just misses the mark a lot.
It was just amazing.
Barely not
try
it, you know?
So hard.
And then this ride, they freaking did it, man.
For them to put it so into top gear for a ride that wasn't contractually obligated to be the best ride in the park, aka the Warner Brothers, the Harry Potter stuff.
Right.
I love that you picked Deep Sea Odyssey too, because that one I had totally forgotten about.
So just for people that maybe don't know what Deep Sea Odyssey is, Deep Sea Odyssey is the dark ride at Shyamalan Ocean Kingdom that is half dark ride and half aquarium. There's a giant track inside the world's largest aquarium that is, or now maybe it's overtaken now by their own record, second largest, but. And then the ride vehicles, which are like an omnimover, so think Haunted Mansion.
Perfect, Haunted Mansion.
But then the ride track tilts, so like you face up at the aquarium above you, and it's a large part of the ride where you're facing the aquarium. There's a couple of TikTok videos that we have out there of it. Maybe we'll post another one when this goes live, but look for it. But yeah, it's just it's part dark ride where there's like a volcanic eruption, and you go through these grottos and stuff. And then the other half of it is like you're in the actual aquarium tank.
Yeah, that was a great choice.
Very fascinating ride, and it's not just like a sneak peek into the aquarium or like a quick little tunnel. Like there's a whole section of dark ride that is just acrylic tunnels through the whole aquarium. It's very, very cool.
That and Final Sea Battle were like the dark ride surprises.
It's kind of a bright ride
of that particular. Oh
yeah, lights in your face and that thing. Yeah.
Of the 2019 trip, those rides were standouts. Along, obviously, with Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, I don't have to explain Journey to Center Earth nor Sunken Treasure.
Yeah.
I think everyone knows about them.
Everybody knows what makes those rides worthy.
They're obviously worth
they're inevitable inclusions in any dark ride conversation.
And so, on this list, I don't think any of them have been written by all four of us, right? No.
No, but do we count?
No.
But
Amazing Spider-Man.
All
I
yours
put
are out
Spider-Man
of
on there, yeah.
Good. That's a count.
So, for the dark ride tally, do I tally all of them and then release the information, or do I release it per group?
Well, maybe we should. Yeah, we can do it now.
Yeah, do per group.
Okay, so for this particular category, it is 7 rides you've all ridden. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's solid.
And which ones are there?
Yeah, that's more than the coasters, right?
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah, more than coasters. Coaster was 6, dark rides was 7. So I'm gonna go. Better aim for 8.
So, Forbidden Journey, Rides of Resistance, Indiana Jones, Monster Mansion, Calico Mine Ride, Pirates Anaheim, and Haunted Mansion Anaheim.
Yeah.
Are the 7. Very nice.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay.
We love
Coaster
that.
6. I'm going to keep taking notes. Alrighty, let's move on to our next selection.
Water rides!
Water rides.
That's Alex. Alex excited for this.
I love a good flume ride, man.
So I love a flume. I'm not usually a water ride person. I was talking about this to everybody. I don't. I just getting wet. The older you get, the less exciting getting wet at a theme park is. I think.
You sound like Sean. Except
Oh
Sean's
my
been
God.
saying that since he was probably a teenager.
I hate getting wet. Ugh. I'm like, hey, like even the slightest sparkle of water, I'm like, nah, not into
Real
it.
funny.
Unless
Oh my
it's really,
gosh.
really hot.
Which
Yeah.
cracks me up when we went to Great America and the log flume was not what it was like in California. So my list.
Did we all get drenched?
We got drenched.
I can't remember.
We got drenched.
Yeah, we got
on,
wet.
It was a negative
Loggers
experience
Run.
that turned it out.
Six
Okay.
Flags
got
Great
big
America.
red.
Because the one at California's Great America was not that wet. It was like a little sprinkle, like typical aero flume.
Yeah, it was a spritz.
For some reason, the one in Illinois is like wave into the log. But that's aside.
I mean, it was also the 3 of us riding it.
Yeah.
Are you saying I'm not
It's
a
also
petite
us
woman,
3.
Sean?
I mean, you're the petite among the 3.
It's also 700 pounds of coaster
Yeah,
enthusiast
just
in one log.
So my list is exclusively aeroflumes because I collect them. Like, it is one thing that like I will force. If there is an aeroflume at a park, we will ride it at least once, if not 2 or 3 times, much to the chagrin of people I am with, because they're like, it is just a log ride. And I'm like, no, it is not.
It's not.
You don't get it.
They don't
Yeah.
get it.
They don't
So
understand.
my
It's not a face, Mom.
Just thinking
So my
that.
5 aeroflumes my favorite aeroflumes are the Timber Mountain Log Ride at Knott's Berry Farm. Undoubtedly, I think one of the greatest dark ride water ride combos, especially not at a Disney park or Universal Park. Jetstream at Magic Mountain, Coal Cracker at Hershey Park, the Log Flume at Six Flags St. Louis, which has had a million different names, and it's technically 2 flumes, and Viking Voyage at Worlds of Fun, which I just found out had a skit in SNL about it. So
I'm loving this concept album
Yes.
of yours because it's really just like a theme.
Yeah.
absolutely.
However, Jetstream, I love it, but I am a little bit surprised by it.
Okay,
I'm not.
I think Jetstream is mostly like also my way of including Ninja. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
I think the two of
The
them
synergy
together
of Ninja
on
and
the
Jetstream
hillside
is
is so hot.
premium.
Like it's just
Okay.
it is-
Yeah, that's hot.
It's
yeah.
hot.
So
It's
hot.
beautiful coaster magic happening. It is iconic. If I could take that little corner, that little lagoon, and like put that in my backyard with like Ninja on the hill and Jetstream running down the hill, like I think I could like that would be my if I had $1 billion, what I would do with my life. I just think the way it's like they interact with each other. Also, I finally rode Coal Cracker for the first time. I think was it 2 years ago, and the little hydro bump is wild.
The hump.
Like,
Dude, it literally is
how-
about to kill
It's
you.
crazy.
I know it shouldn't.
Most
In
of
America,
them, the
I'm
humps didn't
surprised.
last. Like a lot of them, Six Flags chucked all of their humps in the 80s.
Yeah, they got rid of them pretty quick.
And Hershey Park is like, fuck, I don't care.
Yeah, so
Get yeeted.
if you don't get it, if you haven't done it, and you're like, oh, I've ridden 1 million log flumes, like you have to do it because it's the last one we have left, and it is.
Yeah, Coal
It's like
Cracker is a
literally
national
if
treasure.
Sky Rush were a log flume.
Yeah,
It's insane.
Skyflush.
Well, especially because that ride is
Skyflush.
situated in such a compact layout as well. So it's also kind of like you're not quite expecting it to be that intense, I think.
Yeah.
I think one thing I enjoy so much about Coal Cracker, besides being yeeted into the sky, is that it's a nerdy ride because you
yeah.
can sit on that and be like, oh look, it's the B&M. Oh look, it's the classic
Yeah.
sports golf. Oh look, it's Stormrun in the distance. Like it's like a feast for the eyes. being
Jetstream
on
and Coal Cracker are like besties. Like they're so
yeah,
similar
they are like
in their
Well,
execution.
and that
Yeah, they
corner
really are.
of Hershey Park is so gorgeous, like Big Bear, Super Duper Looper, like all of that kind of interacting. And then there's like an aero car ride thrown in there. It's just like how many more things can
Yeah.
fit on this hill? And
oh, and then there's
such a
the
great
RCT3
variety.
Kiss Tower.
Yeah,
yes,
the Kissing
sure
Tower.
enough.
And the Aero car ride has 2 tracks and and it's got like the old timers and the sports cars.
Sure does.
Ugh, so wonderful.
And before I
love
move it
Hershey
on to
Park.
Sven, I just want to say the Six Flags St. Louis log flumes, which are 2 flumes built side by side because Six Flags, they were so popular they had to add a second flume to Georgia and to Texas. So they were like, when they built St. Louis, they were like, we're building 2. So it's relatively small. It doesn't have a really big drop or anything, but it has retained its aero flumes have a pace to them in terms of the way the water flows through the flume that's just faster than a lot of other manufacturers, I find. And the one in St. Louis really keeps that up. So you're like going through the flume before you get to the drop, and it's a really fun experience. Lots of splashing,
which is why I think they've been such maintenance nightmares.
Right.
Just to chime in real quick, is because these boats on these arrows, there's little water in the flumes, and they're always slamming into the fiberglass, and the fiberglass is leaking left and right, like
they're
on all of
moving
them.
and grooving, and hence why a lot of them have to switch to aluminum or concrete, in terms of for long-term stability. But the one at 6X St. Louis still has that arrow, we are out of control in this log flume, which I think is missing from a lot of the new manufacturers.
Ian, I'm so glad you included this and Viking Voyage. Viking Voyage is a great inclusion also because it has custom boats.
Oh, they're so cute.
And obviously the SNL skit. And it highlights what a great state of Missouri is for log flumes because it's not on this list, but the American Plunge at Silver Dollar City is also a fabulous old school traditional log flume.
Reused parts of they had a boat float ride.
Yeah,
and so it has
it's also very old.
Very old. It's again integrated.
It's a bar engineering flume, which is rare. Yeah. So I think if you love legacy log flumes, Missouri, the Missouri Triangle is really tough to beat.
Yeah, and also Missouri, they love Viking Voyage, it is, and it's an icon of the park, and it's in the heart of the park, and I think that's really special. That a log flume is arguably the most iconic ride that park has, and what other park can say that that's the case?
Mm-hmm.
Sven,
speaking of log flumes,
take us to a better one.
So for my list, I just changed something last minute because I feel like there's other water rides out there that I want to include on the list as well. But my number one is still and remains Chiapas at Phantasialand. Then I also really love Grizzly River Run at Disney's California Adventure.
So good.
That's really
because
of the theming, the experience.
Real quick, sorry to interrupt, Sven. I tell you two for the last one: Jetstream and Timber Mountain, all of us, right?
Yeah. Did you?
No, I didn't do Jetstream because it was closed.
Oh wow, it was only one. Okay.
Yeah, so I didn't do any of those 5.
You didn't do Jetstream?
All of them were closed.
You didn't do Timber Mountain either?
No, Timber Mountain was closed.
No, because it was closed.
Everything was closed.
All the log flumes were closed when I was in California.
Log flumes are always closed in February.
Splash Mountain was also closed. So.
Oh my god, that's so sad.
Wait, Ian, Sven, what did you just replace with River Quest? What was your one before it?
No, I'm going to say the list, and then I'm going to say who I replaced.
Okay.
So my next one is River Quest. Thank you for spoiling.
You're welcome.
Because that ride, I've had insane rides on that one. Because you're completely soaked or you're perfectly dry, but that first drop, that second drop, those are just insane. It's how does it even happen? And when I thought it couldn't get any worse, then the next one on the list, it can, with Infinity Falls. So there I've also had experiences. So lucky that I got to ride it, because it was posted closed, but it was open anyway. But on lower capacity, I think. So really enjoyed that one. And the final one on the list, I might be a bit biased for this one, because it's a Belgian one, and it's brand new, but Amazonia at Bellewaerde Park for when it was open.
That looks so cool.
So practically all
currently
circular rapids,
still has issue. Well, Chiapas is
right, but still compared
my
to
love
you,
film.
yeah.
And the ride that I had on there, but I replaced it just because my memories of it are just not as great as River Quest, is Valhalla at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Does it deserve to be on this list? For sure. But I feel it's definitely a flume ride, but it's also a bit of a dark ride, you know? So it's
Well, and
it's mostly the special effects that make it what it is.
Have you been on it since it got redone? Because was that this year or last year that they did the full overhaul?
I think it was last year.
I don't remember exactly when it was, because it was postponed.
Right.
I think. but I haven't done it since. No.
Gotcha.
That's fair. 'cause
So,
I wanted to include it
but-
on mine, and then I saw that you included it, and then I also thought about how like I wrote it in 2015, and like by all accounts, the ride has not been in the shape that it was in 2015 since 2015. Like it had just finished a remodel when I wrote it, and I thought it was amazing, but like I can't in good conscience say that it's still one of the best water rides I've been on if I can't trust that it's still in good shape.
Right.
I want to say that Sven's note about River Quest being as crazy as it is completely accurate, because the first time I ever rode it, for me to ever ride it, because I think Alex may have already ridden it, but we were with Sven Saunders' friend, sister,
yeah,
was
the
she
friends, yeah.
there? Yeah, and I still remember we going on our first drop and we hit that shallow. I guess it wasn't that full of water, and I guess one of us was on the floor. Like it was just a wild
seriously.
ride. Like you cannot do this in the States. Like that ride really throws you around. It's wild, yeah.
Yeah. And so my theme apparently is Intamin.
Oh yeah.
Because all of them are Intamins.
Yeah,
That's true.
wow. Oh my god, concept album.
So we have Arrow and we have Intamin.
Grizzly River Run is such a great choice. That's my favorite. If someone asked me like, "What's your favorite rapids ride? What do you think is the best rapids ride?" I'd have to pick that one.
I agree, and I think
the
that
terraforming
it's
is
honestly
incredible.
one of the best pieces of Imagineering that went into DCA 1.0. You know what I mean?
So
It's
beautiful, 100%.
and well thought out, and that lift hill with the water wheel, it was very clever.
I really hope it will be open when I get there in February, but I fear because Tiana will definitely be open.
Oh.
Because it's just they're just reopening it. So, but that usually one of the two water rides is down during the winter, so we'll have to see.
Fingers crossed. Alex.
All right. Okay, so this is another one, just like the dark rides, where it came together nice and easy for me, because once you guys had picked yours, I was like, I know exactly which 5 I need to include. My number one log ride in the world, like classic style log ride, is the log flume at Liseberg.
Oh, so pretty.
And then another favorite of mine is Paul Bunyan's log chute at Mall of America. And then obviously the dynamic duo. What?
Oh, I was wondering if we all had them.
Oh, got you. No, yeah, the dynamic duo of Dudley Do-Ride's Ripsaw Falls and Popeye and Bluto's Bilge Rat Barges. The fact that none of you included those, like, really hurt my heart, and I was like...
I think... Sorry to interrupt. You actually finish your thing, and then I'll interrupt.
And then, last but not least, the bathtub log flume at Tripsdrill, which was actually Sean's idea, because I was thinking of a 5th, and I was like...
I love that ride.
What is an ass kicker log flume that I am neglecting to include? A rapids ride or something? And that one was such a great choice because it is weird. It is so well done, integrated really well with the coaster, and it's like great local color because it's themed to the bathhouse, which is something that the Tripsdrill area is famous for.
Although some of the indoor scenes are a bit questionable.
I love that.
Listen,
That's the best part.
Boobs.
We are
Boobs.
body positive in this group.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hold up, has everyone ridden Dudley Do Rides and Popeye?
I did not, Sean. I'm
Yes.
so sorry. I did not do either. I'm sorry, y'all. I was even in the
No, it's
park
fine.
and
It's
thinking
fine.
about
I
it.
mean, if you don't like getting wet, Ian,
It was
yeah,
for the
these are
best.
like literally the
I mean,
wettest
these
water
are
rides in the
super
world.
wet.
I love
But
Dudley
that
Do-Ride
means
as a
that
character,
so
though.
far...
I mean, Dudley Do-Ride's Ripsaw Falls is a credit. You left a credit on the table because you're afraid to get wet. How do you sleep at night?
I can't tell you. Pretty okay.
But yeah, I'll first elaborate on Dudley as well. It's really weird for a European that doesn't know any of the characters.
Oh, yeah,
like
it's
I did
super-
not connect at all
super
with that
weird.
ride.
No, it feels like a
Like,
Chinese knockoff.
It's so
and the way
bizarre.
Universal
It
maintains
was a bit.
it really
It
does.
hurt a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
and,
I was
and
like-
it's not very comfortable.
But neither's Chapas, though.
But yeah, it
So
kind of
for
reminds
me,
of
that
Chapas.
one was like, yeah, I didn't need to do it again.
That's fair.
I'm fine.
And then,
I ride it, like, once or
Popeye
twice
is
a
so
year.
soaking. Oh my god! I mean, sometimes we go there and like literally like it's swim trunks,
Yeah.
and Crocs just so we can ride that because I refuse to
Oh,
ride
yeah.
it if I'm not in a complete swim gear.
Yeah.
Because I will, it's like practically it's like jumping in a pool like repeatedly for 5 minutes straight. Like
Yeah.
there's not an inch of your body, your tits that's staying dry. Like everything is just.
I will say,
damn.
as much as I do love those two rides, I don't ride them as often as my placement of them on this list would suggest, even though I go to Islands of Adventure like 60 times a year.
Understandable.
Because it requires like planning your whole day around
Yeah.
being totally waterlogged.
But so of those 15, Grizzly River Run is the only one we've
I
done
know.
so far.
And on the next list, I mean, maybe the next list actually there may be one. Ian, I'm looking at you. Maybe one.
Ian, you need to ride Paul Bunyan's log chute.
Right now, it's not there.
You need to ride the Mall of America log flume because the Knotts family ate with that ride.
I'm ready for it.
Even though it's not Arrow, it is so good. And then the Leesburg flume is Arrow, isn't it?
I think so. I think it was
don't know.
Arrow or maybe
Sorry?
an Arrow Mac contract type sort of situation.
I picked that one because it reminds me so much of the log flume that Magic Mountain had, where it was scales the hillside, 2 lifts up, and then 2 drops right in a row. Such a great ride.
So I'm going to move into my top 5, and I'm going to look at Ian's face while I do this, and hopefully he actually has written one. Stop shaking your head. And Jurassic Park Rapids Adventure at University of Singapore. A Rapids ride, surprisingly, where you get really wet.
I love that. You love that ride.
Jurassic World The Ride at Universal Studios Hollywood. I will accept people that have written it before it got remodeled. Walrus Splash at Channeling Ocean Kingdom. Wild River at Fort Fun. And Vliegende Hollander and Efteling. The lines are very blurred on my list because you could consider one of these a dark ride.
You didn't even want to include Vliegende Hollander, and I was like...
Yeah, because the Vliegende Hollander is literally a dark ride and a roller coaster
It's half
and
roller
a water
coaster,
ride.
half water ride, and half dark ride.
I mean,
Like, I didn't know how
I
to
guess it's the
categorize
most
it.
unique
long, right?
attraction.
Sorry, was that Ian?
I was gonna say the flume portion's
Questionable.
kind of long. Not the flume, but you know what I mean. Like where you're in the lake, it's kind of lengthy at the end there.
Okay,
I think that counts.
Yeah,
true.
yeah. And, you know, it is a water ride. Like,
I really
it's
think
in the
it's
water.
like even thirds. Like, you could divide this ride up evenly.
Third
It's
dark
like-
ride, third roller coaster, third water ride.
Like, I couldn't say that it's really more of one of those things than it is of the other two. You know what
and
I'm
then
saying?
the Wild River and Fort Fun. Sven, have you been there?
I have not.
Oh, okay.
That's,
Because I was
still
surprised
on the
it wasn't on
list
the
to
list
do.
yet. There's that log flume is, God, one of the best log flumes in the world. It's so long, goes underground. It's a terrain log flume, like it's on the side of a mountain. I think Ian would absolutely adore it. Go, if you haven't seen it yet, look up a video. Walrus Splash. I mean, you go into an aquarium where there's a bunch of seals and sea lions swimming around you, and then you have the most stunning, I think, one of the prettiest looking water rides in the world with the giant walrus mountains.
So iconic.
While you're all around the walruses on the other side. I mean, it's iconic ride. Yeah, we did a whole episode on... Go ahead, Sven.
No, sorry. You did a whole episode on China Ocean Kingdom. That was
I was going to say on Universal Studios Singapore, so I don't have to explain to you what happens on the Jurassic Park Rapids ride.
That was literally the last
I don't even
episode.
care that much for dinosaurs, to be completely honest with you guys. I like the franchise, but suddenly all my rides in this whole freaking episode so far have been Jurassic Park rides. But, you know, I casually enjoy them when they come by, I guess. But these are just good rides, I guess, yeah. Especially the new Jurassic World is good.
What I was going to say, like, even though none of the rides made it to the list, if I think of a theme park where I go for water rides, then it's Park Asterix.
Totally.
Because that has like 5 water rides,
Yeah.
5 or 6 even.
And didn't they
depending on
just
what you
do?
count.
Aren't they redoing Gunsplatch for next
They
year?
just did it.
Or they just
Yeah.
did
They
it?
already did it, yeah.
Oh, thank
I need to
goodness.
go
So
back.
it got a
love
retheming to
Groundsplash.
pirates.
Oh,
To
cool.
the
That's
pirates
such a
of
fun
the story
ride.
of
That's good.
Asterix.
It was really
So
lacking
you have-
the theme, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So you have what's that type called again?
Shoot to shoot?
Yes. An extended
Yeah,
spill water
shoot
ride.
to shoot. Spill water, that was the one I was going to say. Yeah, so you have a spill water, you have a log flume with also some unique elements.
Great log flume.
You have L'Oxygenarium, which is like a water raft style.
Yeah, it's a
like
pro
the
slide
predecessor to Amazonia,
slide.
I feel.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Then you have the rapids, Romulus and Rapidus. Not too special, but not bad either.
It's probably one remodel away from being
Well,
great.
that's not one of those rides that I enjoy because it interacts with Pagasse Express. So I feel like, from a nerd perspective, I like seeing the Pagasse trains roll around while you're on the Rapids ride.
Oh, yeah. And then you have a little kiddie flume as well in one of the areas.
Isn't there a towboat ride
feel-
too? In that.
There is a towboat ride, but
Yeah.
that's partly dark ride, I would say.
Okay.
Don't they have a splash battle too? Or is it just the little spinny boat
No,
ride?
they don't have a splash battle,
Okay.
no.
Still, though, who would have thought the park in Paris?
Well, they knew that Disneyland Paris, they were not interested in doing water rides.
Yeah.
They were going to take advantage, like, go through the open door of being a water ride-centric park.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This is a smart move.
Alrighty, so of this grand top 20 water rides, there is a single ride we've all ridden.
I've ridden...
That's wild.
Wait, which one is it?
Islands of Adventure.
Grizzly River. Oh, the one in Florida?
Yeah.
That is pretty close.
That's close, but it's not the same ride. I mean, it's like a 6-hour flight. Yeah. It's okay. Next category, we may have more luck.
Yes.
Ian, start us off.
Okay, so we're doing top 5 coaster stations and queues, which I think is really fun. So my 5 are Wildfire at Silver Dollar City, the Matterhorn bobsleds at Disneyland, Woden Timber Coaster at Europa Park, Batman the Ride at Six Flags Great America, and Gemini at Cedar Point, which is my most esoteric kind of choice.
Actually, yeah, I knew when you said that, I was like, it's so Ian. It's Gemini.
Ian.
Okay,
so
but it's
Ian.
like just the aesthetic is like so consistently like 1978, and I love that they're like the station. The fact that you like have to like step in and then step up into your train, it's so strange. There was a lot of weird choices made, but I kind of love the like 1970s institutional look that is so very Cedar Point, and we've kind of lost a lot of it because they've redone it. But as Gemini, it's still alive and well down to like the wooden railings, and something about it just really hits a place in my heart.
I like inclusion of Wildfire at Silver Dollar City. Because there's just something about looking off in the Ozarks and the mountains and the lake in the distance, seeing that kind of brown track zoom by, but at the same time, you can't really see the coaster because most of it takes place below you. And yeah, it's just a great station. Very Silver Dollar City, true and true. Yeah, no, that's a good choice. And it's so removed from the rest of the park. It really feels like its own little land. You know, you need to pass by 3 Wildfire signs to get the Wildfire. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I guess I like dual-tracked aero coasters. Surprise, surprise. But the Matterhorn station is just like a core childhood memory, like the damn yodeling.
So much.
Like
the
way, like the anticipation, the like hustle and bustle of back when you had to do tandem seating, who was going to sit with who, and then that holding break, like watching the trains go into the holding break to go into the lift hill. It's just, there's something about the energy, the kinetic energy of the Matterhorn station because it's such high capacity that I think is just really special. And then I think it's always been very charming. Like they kind of made the little Alpine Chalet thing work for them. And it's kind of just grown into itself nicely.
A core memory of that ride's aesthetic for me is the tulip-shaped cutouts in the lumber for the handrails, and they're painted red, yellow, and blue.
Yep.
And it's just so flamboyant.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and
We've all ridden Matterhorn, right?
Yeah, I think so.
We did.
Yeah,
Okay.
cool.
I haven't ridden it.
You dumb hoe.
Have we all ridden
And
Woden?
Yes.
I don't know how you say it.
we did.
Wow, so we're already at 2.
That's good.
I do have to say that the queue line of Wodan hasn't been aging well.
Oh, really?
Disappointing. It's been a while since
Like
I've been
quite.
Well, that's Europa Park.
It's the
for
Mac
you.
family.
Yeah,
Big
yeah.
surprise.
Yeah. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
But some like most of the effects still work, but it's just like I feel it's not in the best shape compared to how it used to be.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I just
that's
remember
just
being really
how it
blown
goes.
away by how in depth it was for a wooden GCI coaster. Like I was like, wow, like they're spending money on this.
So a little secret,
Oh, yeah.
we've actually never gone through the queue. I've only ever ridden it with the virtual queue they were doing.
Oh,
Does
nice.
it count
Okay.
then? Do we count it? Because
I mean, I've ridden the ride.
You've
so
been
it
in the
counts. I've
station?
been in the
We're counting,
station,
yeah.
100%.
the station is so cool. I love the statues that like turn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That is really one of the greatest little flourishes of any roller coaster.
I guess it's a thing for GCIs in Europe because also Joris and the Draak has
That's
the
true.
flags that come down if you won
Oh, yeah.
the race.
So cute.
That is a great little.
In fact, I could have put it on my list.
Yeah.
I do want to say before we move into Sven, when I saw Sven's list, I think I was chatting in the group chat. I don't
Sean
think
was
I don't
mad.
think
He was
Sven- I
like, Sven took
damn,
my
he took
entire
like my
top
whole
five."
top 5.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
good, Sven.
Sven's list is like
I
the
mean,
Sean
it's-
mood board.
to be fair, it's probably the list of best. And I only focused on stations because I feel like we've talked about queues before, but not really about stations.
Absolutely.
So that's what I was going for.
And most of these have great queues too.
Yeah.
And, well, the first one I knew I was going to pick, and then you guys would be like, that's ours. So, like, Tron is on the list.
You popped in there first.
Yeah.
It's like the most modern station that I've put into the list. And just the vibe and the feel of waiting there to board the trains. It's just... And seeing the trains depart and all that, it's just like... Yeah, magic. Almost.
Yeah,
give us your list,
I'm glad you love it.
You're
Yeah.
definitely in the grid. And then another one where you guys were like, why did you pick that one? It's like Hyperspace Mountain at Disneyland Paris.
Yeah.
But, like, again, the steampunk theme and what we didn't say last time, but it's probably the most impressive building also of an indoor
Oh,
coaster.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the first time that there's so much detail on the exterior of a show building.
And still, the
Yeah.
station is nice. I do think it's not nice to work there in the winter
I
sometimes.
know.
It's
They're
so
like
drafty.
they're packed in. Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. And then the next one on the list is Baron 1898, where when you exit the ride and you just have that final look of the station before you leave, it's just everything. You know?
do.
Oh
And
yeah,
every
and, like,
time you
going
take a
down those
picture,
little
it's
stairs
stunning.
into the station. I mean, that is a thematic mass, and like the control panel, for the
Yes.
operator being
I was about to say.
being the lift brakes and stuff. I mean, it's
And the pre-shows are so
iconic.
cool. They have a projection mapping pre-show, an audio animatronic pre-show, and then a projection mapping mid-ride pre-lift show.
Yeah, that is iconic.
That's how Efteling
Good
does
station. Yeah.
Even the lift is an animatronic with like. It's just what a great ride.
And a ride we just talked about also is Vliegende Hollander, also at Efteling. Like, that station is just like a village almost.
perfection.
And the music playing there, and it's just the best vibe you can have. But I think my personal favorite coaster station has to be Fly at Phantasialand. Because, yeah, the fact that when the train comes in, that the lights change in the exact
Yeah.
same positioning as the train, the colors that they chose, the steampunk vibe, the music that's playing there. It's just
And the loading is
It's
super unconventional.
incredible.
So this is a station where you really are
Yeah,
just the
the
station's
loading
a
is
wall.
like-
It's just really unconventional.
The loading
Yeah.
itself
I
feels
mean-
like a highlight of the experience because it's so novel.
the coaster might not be one of my favorites, but it's definitely one of the most unique coasters out there. But that station, and I still have no clue where the station is in that area of the park. Like, where, if I need to drill a hole
Right.
to find where it is.
Yeah.
Like, I have no clue.
Yeah, and I mean that is a masterpiece. I mean that if we talk about like overall products, it's one of the best products ever created. The queue, the way it goes around the land, and then you find yourself down in some dungeon where, like you said, where the hell are we?
Right.
The animatronics in that station area, the locker system was revolutionary when it was introduced. Everything about Fly and the way it interacts with the area is something. I mean, it makes Taron seem basic, which we just mentioned earlier in the, part one of the episode. Is that Taron is so iconic for the interaction with the land, and then they bring along almost like a Taron 2.0. Yeah, Fly is just spectacular, and I do like the queue too. I really like not knowing where I'm going through the whole land, and
It's very disorienting.
yeah, it's very disorienting, and somehow makes you pass the time.
Makes you
despite
feel
not
like
being
you
that
went
interactive.
somewhere, though.
Yeah, 100%.
And a little shout out also to the worst station I've ever seen, and that's the monster at Walligator Park.
But is
And
it as
I
bad?
have-
Well, okay,
Oh,
it
it's
is
horrible.
pretty bad.
Really bad.
It is horrible, and especially when you are having some drinks in the evening and you look it up on YouTube, and it's just, you have the best time of your life for hours just watching that station. I mean,
Well, there is a
but there was a
bar called
long.
California's Great America, and they do that
They
outdoor
love
station with nothing too.
Love it.
But there was a rumor that they were finally going to do something about the station. I think there were even concept arts of it at some point, but yeah, haven't seen anything changed yet.
I still have to go to Valigator one day.
And ride Comet Space.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So of this list, any matches? No, right? I think none of us have written all. Okay, cool. No worries. Alex?
All right. So my picks are Vampire at Chessington World of Adventure because of the audio animatronic Dracula playing the pipe organ in his parlor. This is one of my favorite things at any amusement park anywhere. Tornado at Sarkaniemi was kind of like a necessary inclusion simply because the 0G roll that happens above you in this subterranean station is just so cool. The Swarm at Thorpe Park, I just think is so dramatic and foreboding, and the whole concept of the station is a church that has been destroyed by aliens ushering in the apocalypse. It's just so dark and so damning, and so just bold, like something you would never see in the States because it would just be the imagery is just too upsetting. Expedition Everest, which I just changed. I had put Big Thunder Mountain in Anaheim for nostalgic purposes and because I liked that kind of for the same reason that Ian mentioned Matterhorn. But Expedition Everest would be remiss not to include just because the queue is so cool. And it's just such an experience in and of itself. Doing dragons.
Originally, I also had Big Thunder Mountain, but
the Paris one,
it deserved or even. I mean, I feel like they're not that totally different.
Anaheim's is totally different from the other three because Anaheim has no roof and you're in the little quarry in the Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland, former Rainbow Ridge town. Yeah. And then you come up through the bottom of it. The other three are all pretty similar because you're in the station house above and then you descend into it.
Okay.
But yeah, then finally I had to include Dueling Dragons because that was the first time I ever really thought about what a roller coaster queue and station could be and should be, even though it lives really only in my memory now. I would have to watch a YouTube video, and they exist, but YouTube videos of walkthroughs of the queue to remind myself the specifics of why it was so great. But
and I do love station flybys like you have for Tornado. I feel like there was this era of station flybys that lasted maybe 5 to 10 years, and now we don't really see it much.
GCI was really big into
hang on. GCI still keeps doing it, and also the recent Vekomas are doing it as well. Because you have it at Lek Coaster, you have it at Phoenix.
Yeah,
so
true.
It's
I guess it's still kind of happening, but there was an era where GCI was doing it for every single coaster. They wouldn't open a coaster if it didn't have a flyby.
Yeah,
I'm talking Renegade, Apocalypse,
Wodan,
Troy,
Yoris.
Everything.
Yoris is special because it's on top of the station.
Yeah.
Which now it sounds so different with that smooth new track. Oh, love it. Anyway, going into my top 5, Batman, Gotham City Escape at Parque Warner Madrid, mostly because all the pre-shows build up so nicely and using that old pre-show from the simulator ride and then ending up in that subway station.
It's so smart.
They did a spectacular job with that. Untamed, I actually wasn't sure if I was going to put this on there, but I really appreciate...
I'm glad you did.
What they did with that station, because they kind of took the old Robin Hood station, which is just wood, and then they made it kind of like that cottagecore
steampunk,
kind of like that all the greenery and then all the little lanterns hanging from the ceiling, and it works very well in the way I feel like it's highly and all the different stained glass was put together like an old factory. Star Trek
and the music.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, Untamed, underrated.
Well, sound effects, let's say,
yeah. Ambiance.
And it matches that weird little bug creature they created.
Yeah.
The firefly bug creature that is the train. I know, it just really works for me.
It's a lanternfly.
A lanternfly. Then I have Star Trek Operation Enterprise for obvious reasons.
Wonderful.
I mean, you're in the Enterprise. You go to the shuttle bay. The door opens up. You load into the soundtrack that it comes when the train dispatches. Station itself is maybe not the most spectacular, But I think the overall, moving from...
Do you think they're ever going to bring
bridge.
back like the actor sequence on the bridge?
I was about to say they used to do the little show there as
That
well,
was-
but
yeah.
that
And
was
then
gone
right
That was
after-
quickly.
amazing to me.
I think COVID killed it, didn't it?
But yeah,
No, I think already before that it was
Oh,
gone.
that's actually kind of sad.
Just like a budget cost.
yeah.
Uh,
Sorry.
and then Flight of Fear. I mean, I don't think anyone could argue with Flight of Fear. You're in a freaking
Terrifying.
UFO and then you launch
So
out
scared. Everybody can remember how scared they were waiting for Flight of Fear and watching that just like
and then hearing the clapping sound of the
Evaporate,
freaking
yes.
LSMs.
Yeah. Oof.
Have we
Okay.
all ridden the Flight of Fear, by the way?
Yeah, I think.
No.
Oh.
Close.
No.
Not me.
And then Black Mamba at Phantasialand, which not only the queue is cool because you go by the ride, I really did focus on the station because if the lighting is just
Yeah.
right, you can see you're in this skeleton of a giant snake,
yeah.
like almost like a hidden creature and that died in the grottos.
And very
Um,
vibey
and
again
it's-
with like the drums. and
Yeah,
stuff.
the drums and it's dark and it's very mysterious and it's like steep decline and incline to
The
get to
queue
the
was
station.
awesome too for that one. It's very like the precursor to Fly.
That's
100%.
another one of those stations where you're like, where
am
is
I?
it?
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's kind of my top 5. I think out of all of these, we have 2, right? 2 stations we've all done. Wodan and Matterhorn.
And Expedition Everest?
No, I haven't done.
Have you done Everest?
Yeah.
Ian has not ridden. It's too
Really?
much trouble for Ian.
No.
How long has it been since you've been to Florida?
Oh, I haven't been.
He's
to
ridden
the Florida parks
Velocicoaster.
properly at all. The Disneyland park, the Disney parks. in Florida.
Oh,
I'm
gotcha.
just I'm sorry. I'm a bad person. I'm a bad coaster enthusiast. Theme park enthusiast is more like it. I was like, let me go to Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, and let me also just go to Tampa
Fair enough.
and get the.
Alrighty, so now we have color schemes.
Oh, I love
which-
this.
Color schemes, I think, are always fun. And it should go a little quicker than some of the other ones.
Yeah.
Color schemes, I think, are always fun because this kind of depends on what your vibe is,
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So, I'm curious.
I'll start us off. So
Before you start, Ian, what's your favorite color?
my favorite color is actually orange. I
Okay.
don't wear it that often or anything. It's not like I wear it that often, but if I see something orange, and I especially have a thing for 70s burnt orange. So, surprise, surprise. So my top, and it will make an appearance in my list. So my top 5 are the new Phantom's Revenge in the purple at Kennywood. I think is one of the best repaints we've had in a very long time. I put Raptor
great
and
choice.
Hydra, Raptor at Cedar Point and Hydra at Dorney Park together because they're almost the same color scheme, very similar. Patriot at Worlds of Fun, if we want to go for a patriotic coaster, that's the best version. Tigress at Busch Gardens
Really?
Tampa, I love, speaking of orange. And then I haven't ridden it, but I think both the old and the new color schemes on Nemesis at Alton Towers are excellent, and think they deserve a shout out.
I love your
I
love.
guess Nemesis
Wait, go ahead.
I guess Nemesis was more. It's more than just the color. It's like the effect that
The
they
blood.
painted.
Yeah,
The vein
exactly,
on the
exactly.
track. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
quite. It looks very
It is a vibe.
expensive. Looking at it, it's like wow, that's quite the flourish.
Absolutely.
Sven, I
And
love
I
your
guess-
love for the Cedar Fair double tone B&M track spine painting
Absolutely.
because Raptor does it, Patriot does it, Silver Bullet has it, Gatekeeper has it.
Well, and I was gonna say, in terms of Americana coasters, I think Patriot with the white stripe is the most striking of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I even thought
because
about,
it's a very contrast.
Air Force One that does the blue rail and the red rail, which is clever and really cool. But I still think it's cleaner and has a greater effect on Patriot, where it's that white stripe.
It's more impressive on Patriot because it's harder to do that.
Well, whenever I look at Patriot, I think of those white and red stripes from the American flag. And
Yeah,
It has
exactly.
the white and red stripes.
Wow,
It
you
just
do.
works really well.
That's great.
Wow, this
It's
is
perfect. That is the desired effect.
Do you feel the stirrings of American patriotism?
Do you feel patriotic?
Do I feel American? Actually, I've not actually been to Worlds of Fun. I think it's my last remaining ex-seated Fred Park.
And you're also not an American, so it's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
How do you
Yeah.
feel about
But
Tigris?
it's the
I
same
think
colors
Tigris
as the
looks so
Dutch
good.
flag, so
That's
It is true,
And the French flag.
but not the Belgian flag.
Not the Belgian.
oh. Sorry, Ian,
I
you were
was so
saying.
sorry. I was talking over y'all. How do y'all feel about Tigris? I think it's one of the sharpest looking coaster color schemes. I don't know why. I just think it stands out.
I love it.
This explains why you are excited about Pantherion.
Yes,
Because it's pretty much
it does.
the same
Yeah.
thing. But I don't mind it.
I like the way
I don't
that
love it.
these Skyrocket 2 paint schemes are they're so shiny. They look like lollipops, just like, and almost like they're still wet, because my favorite color scheme is also on a Skyrocket 2. So like,
Perfect.
I feel you.
Yeah, Tigris is an interesting choice, Ian. I don't
Electric
know.
Eel is also a beautiful color scheme. Like those, those, the second, like the later generation of the Skyrocket 2 clones, the 3-car ones, like have never missed.
Do you all have?
They all look really good.
Has everyone ridden that? Has everyone ridden Tigris?
Yes. Ian
Yes.
is.
Yeah,
Okay. Cool.
that's all.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Me
Perfect. You
too.
have one.
We have one.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yep. We have one. Alrighty.
Man.
Well, that's one. That's half the work. Benjamin.
So my favorite colors, I have two, are blue and orange. And that explains the first one on the list, which is Scream at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Because, yeah, I really like... my favorite animal is also a kingfisher. So that's like
Oh yeah.
the circle of those colors. And I also thought that Scream deserved a shout out because it feels like a forgotten coaster.
Fair.
Totally.
And as I
Cute.
mentioned,
Yep.
put it here in a park in Belgium and it would be a top coaster, So
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's just
that's
the
such a
downside of it
great-
being at Magic.
Yeah.
It's like you have 20 coasters and suddenly your big 7-looper floorless coaster doesn't stand out anymore. Yeah.
I love that when they repainted Scream, they also repainted the Tornado Slide the same color scheme.
Because they had paint left over.
They had leftover
very,
paint.
Very, very Magic. Yeah.
nice. And then I guess what I like is when they choose unique colors for coasters. And so the next one on my list is Taiga, because the blue is just like a little bit more brighter than your normal blue. And it just fits perfectly with the theme of the creature flying. And also, yeah, it makes the... even on a cloudy day, it stands out,
Well, and I
So-
feel like that the train on Taiga is so colorful and bright that it really helps highlight the train. Like if you see run
sure.
across the track, it doesn't. The train is a
And it's-
standalone piece. Yeah.
And it's orange, so I guess I'm back to my blue and orange.
Right.
But the next one is totally different, and I haven't ridden this one, but we talked about it before the episode, and I was like, yeah, I want to include this one, and that's DC Rivals Hypercoaster in Australia, because those colors are definitely, it's a very unique kind of purple that I haven't seen on any coaster before.
Yeah. In fact, I
so-
kind of thought it was pink-ish. Yeah, like a magenta maybe.
Yeah.
I think it's like
Yeah.
a magenta, right? Yeah. That's
So
iconic color.
definitely-
Oh my god.
stand out. And then I have Valkyria at Liesberg, because that's literally a golden coaster.
Interesting. I haven't
Like-
seen it in person. Does it shine like that? I was surprised by this selection.
I guess it's the sun. If the sunlight is on there,
Interesting.
then it definitely stands out too. But yeah, it's such a unique. I didn't even think it was possible to paint a coaster like that. So I really it's a maybe it's a special kind of yellow, because if you look at pictures of it, it goes more towards the yellow. But then if you do an on ride, then it's more the golden vibe. So
I guess I can see
Very
that.
unique.
Yeah.
and the final one, yeah, I'm back with this one, but that's Baron 1898. Because that turquoise color is just iconic for the ride. Like, if you see that color, you instantly think of that ride for me.
100%.
I almost.
And God, it
included
works so
that
well with
too.
like classic green iron works,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very
100%.
Kings Island, King's
Love
Dominion,
it.
Eiffel Tower coded.
Nice.
That Like, yeah, I almost included that because I think it just fits the theme so well on that coaster.
Mm-hmm. So there you have it. What about you, Alex?
This was hard for me because I'm colorblind, so I needed help with my colors. I love really bold color choices, and I love novelty color choices. Something that looks like you could have done it in Roller Coaster Tycoon, like when you were 9 years old. My favorite color scheme of all time for any coaster is Zombie Ride, which is a Premier Ride Skyrocket 2 that was at Bosque Magico in Mexico and is now in South America at a park in Colombia. I cannot remember the name of it. And I think it still has the same color scheme. I mean, the ride was relatively new when Bosque Magico closed. So I think it still looks the same.
Also, fun fact, the only Skyrocket ever to have sliding station.
Yeah. Sliding station Skyrocket, like Mr. Freeze style, with two-car trains. And that's like neon green and super, super dark purple against a blue sky is just perfection. Jubilee Odyssey I had to pick because yellow, like electric yellow, is my favorite color. And when I think of a coaster that like just really takes the neon yellow and runs with it, like that ride is just such a bold pop of color. Even though I haven't ridden it, I went there and it was down. Sean and I are going to try to ride it in May. I really look forward to seeing it in person. And then Fire Whip was suggested by you guys. That was a great choice because that is such a crazy like novelty color scheme with like the flames, the gradient of like various orange, yellow, and red tones.
Actually, lists having 3 SLCs. Anyway.
I would be curious. Yeah, it does. That's pretty funny. Yeah, because I actually just changed one of my answers to another SLC. But like Fire Whip is cool. I would be curious to know. I haven't seen a recent picture of it. It's the kind of paint job that makes you think like, wow, like that's going to be a lot to maintain. And like if it starts to fade, it could look not very good. But I appreciate the audacity there with turning a pretty straightforward looking ride, at least by our standards, by our jaded enthusiast standards, and making it really stand out. And then the Corkscrew at Rainbow's End in New Zealand, which is a park that I've not been to, and I have no plans of going there. I don't know. I guess I could go there if I find myself in New Zealand. But I had to include this because their Corkscrew coaster is painted like a rainbow. The Corkscrew, most of the ride is white, but the Corkscrew, the second Corkscrew, I think, is the rainbow, and then it has a 6-car aerodynamics train that is a different color for each car. And I love rainbows. I like to tell people rainbow is my favorite color also, so.
If you're colorblind, that's okay.
Yeah, it's like, it makes it easier to choose. If I wear every color at once, it's all sort of matching, right? And then, last but not least, I had to include Iron Claw, or whatever they're calling it these days.
Iron Claw now.
At Movie Park Germany. Their SLC, which has seen a lot of different color schemes. The last time we rode it, it was like 3 different shades of brown for different support beams. It is now. And it's still the same.
Yeah, they just
and then the train are black and yellow alternating.
That's now
vehicles.
changed again. Too.
So that has changed.
Yeah, that was when they were going to do the Dalton thing for a second.
That was so cool.
Now I think the trains are like an iridescent silver.
What it looked like when we rode it last in 2022 was like so amazing to me. It was just so over the top. It was like the amount of different colors, individual colors represented on a single ride. There's like 7 different colors in that ride's color palette, at least when it was doing the black and yellow train. So I had to include that really as being my favorite train color scheme.
I'm trying to see. Here's a current one. So it's black and silver now.
I see. So it does alternate.
Silver.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I loved the black and yellow.
But it's really all about the different shades of...
But the different shades of brown are
all the
very
supports
cool.
are nice. It's really rustic in a way.
And like the Great Nor'easter is also a really cool paint scheme. It's also an SLC. Something about SLCs like really lend themselves
Not the SLCs being the cutest looking rides.
They have to compensate, I guess.
And I'm going to move on with my top 5, and I'm going to start with Dragon at Ocean Park. Rest in peace, my sweet child.
Pour one out for Dragon.
Arrow looper that ever arrowed and looped at the same time.
She walked so Fire Whip could run.
I was there just a few days
Crazy
ago.
paint job.
We will be doing an episode on that, but I was there a few days ago, really, pretty recently, and I was walking around, all around Dragon, and she's just standing there, and the trees are growing all over her, and it's a sad sight. But yeah, Dragon's purple, yellow, green, flames-infused color scheme is something that we've never seen before and we'll never see again. It makes Fire Whip a better Career World team organized. Yeah, it was a great ride, and it's very sad that it's gone, but at least you can still look at it. It's still a very pretty coaster. Then my next on my list is Flying Apsaras in Western Region, which really is... Apsaras is like a bird.
It's a bird of some kind.
And Western Region refers to the western of China, which is like the Middle East. So it's a flying bird in the Middle East at Happy Valley Chengdu, which is a almost like an aqua blue track and purple supports. Very striking. It just kind of works. I mostly picked this list based on what I haven't seen before, and that I hadn't seen before. And then Tatsu, don't even hate me, Tatsu. I think the new color scheme is phenomenal with the bright green and the bright orange. It's striking. It makes a statement. It's visible from everywhere. It kind of works with the theme of a dragon.
It's like coasting through clouds, but even
It's
better.
like coasting through clouds, exactly, in China. It just really works. So I think Tatsu's new color scheme, despite not even being my favorite color palette, just really, I think it's striking.
I feel it's a very typical Six Flags color.
What?
Like
I've
it's
never
what
done
I
it
would.
before.
No, but I mean that it fits with the Six Flags brand, because like it's the type of colors you would also use in Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah, I guess
in those types of
But the
parks,
orange and
so-
green together is not super common.
Yeah, only two major rides have ever done it. This is the second one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not unique. I'm saying it's
Like the use of bright colors versus
a color
naturalistic
combination
colors. Yeah.
that Six Flags would choose, and other parks might not go for.
Surprisingly, I'm surprised Walibi Holland hasn't used it, because Walibi Holland is one of those parks that like uses these colors like.
They're
Yeah.
literally copying
But
off
it's a
of
former
Magic
Six
Mountain
Flags
homework
park.
with,
Yeah,
with
fair.
UA.
And then next up on my list is Wildfire at Silver Dollar City to completely shift gears. Something about rustic, naturalistic colors gets
Textured.
me all absolutely excited. Like, love it. And Wildfire, oh my god! Like between the trees on the hillside, the mountain, no matter the season, Wildfire looks the part. It's just there's something rustic about it. I mean, it literally looks like the fucking thing is rusting, but like it's like in the best way possible. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I guess the same kind of goes for
Tennessee
Tornado.
Yeah.
But so it works better on the B&M track. It works better with the shininess of where the wheels run along the track. And then Lost Gravity I threw in there.
That's a great choice.
Mostly because why is Lost Gravity like the only coaster that does the alternating track pieces color? I think it's really fun.
The
like
Roller Coaster Tycoon
I mean,
legacy.
is it chaotic? Is it wild?
Yes.
Is it Wallaby Holland? 100%. But I don't, unless I'm wrong, I haven't.
so bold.
You don't see it a lot, do
So
you?
striking.
No,
I
I feel
love
like
it.
I haven't seen it anywhere else.
In my
So
mind,
Lost Gravity is on there.
in my mind, Smiler has that, but I don't think it does. Does Smiler do alternating?
Yeah,
right?
it's
No,
got
the
the
train's
color
gonna be
palette,
It's
but the track is
similar.
all black.
Yeah.
The track is all black. Weird.
I think does Cobra at Coneyland do the color thing like that? No, it's also all the same color.
There's rare
Yeah.
cases of coasters that have like a different color element than
For
the
each
rest.
track piece, I mean, I'm surprised it doesn't have
Like
more
Green
often.
Lantern having a yellow loop at Great Adventure, but that's like
True.
not nearly as satisfying as Lost Gravity.
So there we go. I think it's a cool color scheme.
Yeah.
Oh, well, real quick, we got to tally what we've written. So I've already concluded that we've all written Tigress. We
Yes.
have all written Scream, right?
Yep,
Okay,
and
Scream.
Wow. Oh yeah.
Ian, yeah, you were on Scream, yeah.
Scream.
And I'm only asking because I've been
Tatsu?
with Sven on Scream. Tatsu, all been on Tatsu?
Yes.
Yes? Yeah, for sure. Tatsu. We've all been on Wildfire? Sven?
So at our
No.
city.
No?
And then
Well,
there's
yeah, okay.
I think
so
it's
three.
those three.
Then there's Rainbow's End, which like none of us have been there.
Yeah, I'll take it.
There's a coaster that
And
none
DC
of us
Rivals,
have ridden.
neither.
Yeah, true. These survivals also nobody's written.
Yeah. Sven, have you ridden Jubilee Odyssey?
I have not.
Okay, none of us have ridden that, I think.
Look at that. Alrighty, next up. This is an interesting one. Who came up with it again? Was it Ian?
I think so. I think it was me. Yeah.
So we're sliding into the top five park logos.
Yes.
This one kind of took me some research to come up with my favorites, because I was like, okay, park logos. And it had some
Yeah,
logos of mine, and then they were updated to be terrible. Like Bobby Allen's logo now is like the worst logo in the world. So at least we got that out of the way.
It's been a bit of a discussion here for sure.
Like, how did they actually greenlight that? I mean, I went to the Parques Reunidos home website, and I looked at all the parks. And even there, like, you can barely make out the logo because the yellow and the white doesn't work. But whatever, that's a whole separate conversation. So top 5 park logos. It's a very interesting choice, and I guess that's a good way to kind of define who we are.
Absolutely.
Ian, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'll do it. So mine are Silver Dollar City. I haven't been there, but I think Phantasialand's logo is amazing. Of course, the classic California Disneyland logo. The original Marriott's Great America logo and its variations. And I am actually a big fan of the Carowinds retro logo that they had, the original one that came out with the park, and they still occasionally will use it. Obviously, I have a thing for 70s logos. Surprise, surprise. Surprising not a single person.
Is it this one, Ian?
What was that?
Is it this one?
Let me see. Sorry. I'm
Oh, you're watching the camera? Sorry.
Yeah, that one. The one with the...
Oh my god, that one is wild. Yeah, with the 2 little state flags on it.
Like the little bottom is like...
For Carowinds?
Has like the little like flourishes on it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just feel like they knocked it out of the park with that, and I feel somewhat similar about Kings Island, except for Kings Island is more of just a Disneyland knockoff. King's Dominions is really great with the little crown, but I think Carowinds is just really clean, and I wish that they would use their old logos more often because I just think it's a cleaner look. I mean,
retro lines, I dig it, like for merchandising.
Oh, absolutely.
Didn't you also buy the Great America hat?
I sure have it. I sure still have it, yeah. And I've... the Marriott's Great America logo was so great because it's the stars, and then it could like be used as like in a circular form, which it's like, I think on the Sky Tower it still has it in Six Flags in Gurney. Still has like the old logo.
Yeah, it does,
yeah. And then I think Silver Dollar City had the same logo probably since the 70s, and it's so clean and so recognizable with the hatchet and the axe. I think it's just a great, classic, easily recognizable logo. And then I think the same with
100%.
Phantasialand. It's not like that retro, but like I immediately know what that font and that like swoosh, like what that indicates.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. And of course, classic Disneyland logo. I mean, I get excited every time I see it.
Yeah.
Because iconic. They're all kind of iconic. You got an iconic list.
Absolutely.
Svenjamin.
Yes, so for me, I also had to do a little bit of research, and I've mainly focused on the parks that I visited. So the first one I have on the list is Kolmarden, because with the green, the animals in there, and I really like the font of it. I also included Europa Park, because like the 3 stars are getting quite iconic, and like I have an umbrella with it, and so it's like it's a theme park umbrella, but people that don't know, but the people that know. So it's like, that's what I like about it. And I also chose Farup Sommerland because it's quite bold, and obviously it's green again because that park is really all about nature. And again, it's the font for me that did it.
Oh, yeah. I do like that logo. I had to look it up real quick because I forgot what it looked like.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
So
clean.
have a look if you haven't seen
clean.
it yet. But it's playful, and yet it fits the theme of the park. And then there's Linnanmäki, because there they also really use the colors of it. It's pretty much rainbow colors. And they use it in their merchandise. Like I have socks of it. I have it on a T-shirt. So really smart
that's a great
style,
logo.
and really,
very
exquisite.
timeless actually. Because I mean, like you say, this has been a logo for a while, right? I mean, it feels like they could have introduced it this year, and it would have been actually right at the time. So very timeless.
Yeah,
that's nice.
And then finally, I've put Epcot.
The current logo, please, right?
The current logo.
Yeah,
yes.
that's iconic. I was gonna put it. Yeah, it was so good.
But even there might be older ones that are quite nice as well. But the whole retro vibe of it, and I definitely felt that park needed a shout out in our tops as well. So
fair enough. And then Alexander.
So that means that we visited Disneyland,
Yes.
all of us. We visited Carowinds, or
Yes, we all done Carowinds. For sure.
yes, and then we have Europa Park
We've all done Europa Park. Yeah. Okay.
and
I didn't
Epcot,
do
I
that.
guess.
Well, actually, I have
Or-
as a child. There's
Yeah.
photo
No,
evidence
not
of
yet.
Epcot
Never been
as
no.
a child. So there. We'll
So
He's
it
got
counts.
the
It
photo, He's got
counts.
the receipts.
Okay. Okay, so not to be crazy, but from water rides, we had 1. We had coaster stations, we had 2. Color schemes, we had 3. We're already at 4 for logos. Pretty cute number if we don't have any more matching. Like we do have matching, but. Alrighty.
Let's go.
Well, now there's going to be 5 because Islands of Adventure. When I think of logos that I love, Islands of Adventure is just they hit it out of the park. It's so nostalgic.
Old
to
logo,
me.
not new logo.
Yeah, the new one is sort of. I mean, yeah, it's
It's like
kind of
letting
just
a kid loose on like
variation
Photoshop,
on
and
it.
now it looks like that.
They've had one logo that was developed before the park opened, which we have on T-shirts, which is also really cute, but it's a little bit more cartoony than the one that they settled on. And then the logo that they had when the park opened in '99 was just so perfect that there was just no need to change it.
Yeah, they did.
The new version of it isn't bad, and admittedly, they don't use the new version for all applications, just like how they don't use the new version of the other logos for all of their applications. Opryland USA is one that I stole from Ian,
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
because that one's just so classic. And I never went to Opryland, but I've ridden a few of their rides in their new locations, and like I lived in Nashville for a really long time. And the mandolin iconography of Opryland and the patriotic nature of its logo,
It's
this very
It's
nostalgic.
also a park that's quite known among Belgian coaster enthusiasts.
Yes,
Really?
chaos.
Please elaborate.
because of Revolution.
Oh, duh.
Duh.
Okay,
Chaos,
fine, yeah.
chaos and revolution, yeah.
Duh. Yeah, and then I love Disneyland Paris's logo, and like the one that we have on a majority of our Spirit jerseys, the cursive, very like 90s.
Oh, the newest one.
cursive
Yeah.
Disney logo. But
Because
really,
it's been
I mean,
through some phases.
yeah, Disneyland
Yeah.
Paris.
Because the park's name has been through some.
The-
like Euro Disney was also a pretty nice
Great
logo.
logo.
now
It
that I
was a
think
great
of it.
logo because
Yeah.
that's also timeless. Because
It's
now we
very
have the
Epcot.
Euro Disney Spirit jerseys and
Yeah.
that like
Oh,
that
yeah.
globe on the Euro
Yeah.
part. Oh, it's clean.
Basically, like Disneyland Paris never misses. Like every time
I
they
used
release
to-
something with their name on it, it looks great.
They did a retro collection a few years ago, and I bought quite some things of it because I just love that logo.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah,
got
we
the
have
Spirit
the Spirit
jersey.
jersey. We have some of the luggage tags from it.
I got
Yeah,
the
that's my
keychains,
favorite line
yeah.
they've ever had because the colors were awesome. And, you know, like the you know just the basic red.
Yeah, they should
blue
do it
and
again.
Yellow. They should
It
bring
will
back.
sell.
It will sell. I mean, it sold pretty good. Yeah.
And then I picked Dollywood because that's another one that like Dolly came up with it, I guess, in the mid 1980s, and it has stuck. It has been so perfect, so timeless. Like just I can't even picture the like Dollywood without picturing the logo. Like they're in like the iconography of the logo with the butterfly and like just the name of the park are to me like indivorceable. And I love butterflies, so it's just a really cute logo in my mind. And then Tokyo Disneyland it's very subtle, but like the Tokyo Disneyland font is one that I love and would really love to see on a Spirit jersey someday. It's like a subtle, like very slightly gothic typeface that is exclusive to Tokyo Disneyland. It's not, I've never seen it anywhere else on anything, Disney or otherwise. And it's very, like, when I'm looking at the logo, I wouldn't even have to read what it said to know that it says Tokyo Disneyland on
It's
it.
funny because for me, I mean, it's on my list.
No,
Never mind.
yeah,
will
it's like
reserve
a
my comments.
blockier, like, there's something about it that's kind of cool. Like, it's like short squatter. It's like a squatter medieval script. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
In my head, it's very Epcot, which makes
Yeah,
sense because they were the
80s,
same year.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like an era. Like
Yeah.
it's totally an era.
Like, I would
Yeah.
die for that on a black
looks
Spirit
so
jersey. It's with white letters, something that, like, really highlighted the font. Because
Speaking
it's
of
just
which,
perfect.
we found our first ever Hong Kong Disneyland Spirit jerseys, and I don't even really care for the
Really?
villains, but it's a villain Spirit shirt jersey with like the
Wow.
green and purple, and it says Hong Kong Disneyland. I mean, we bought it so quick. Oh my god,
Yeah.
we bought it so fast. That's...
I'm so excited to have an Asian Spirit
Love
jersey.
that for you.
Thanks, Carl. And moving on to our next list, I'm going to start with Tokyo Disney Sea because I was about to be like, oh, I'm surprised she didn't pick Tokyo Disney Sea. Because I
That's
already
a great
picked
logo.
it. Because Tokyo Disney Sea's logo is cool too.
That
You
one's
have
got
that
the iconography.
almost like the setting sun with then the Mickey Ear ship coming towards you with the waves. It's like super simple but really iconic.
Yeah.
And then it has the word Disney with the Disney letters. Then C is cap and caps. It's very clean.
Great
it works.
logo.
See us, look at us hyping up Tokyo Disney. Anyway, and then I picked an interesting one, the Lost Island theme park in Iowa. I haven't been. I don't think any of us have been. But that logo, it just kind of works. It kind of encapsulates the park's vibe, what they're going for anyway. I'm not going to
I'm Googling
see
it
what you did.
because I haven't.
Yeah.
And
then it has a little roller coaster track in there that kind of works and matches the water park they have going on. I think it is a kind of a fun logo, and I feel like nowadays logos
that is a
are
cool
so
logo.
boring. But the
I've
logo
literally
just
never
works
noticed that
very
the
well.
wave is also coaster track.
Right? It's cool, right?
That's very
cute.
clever. Very
Yeah.
clever. Great color palette.
And works with the water park situation.
Yeah.
And then the original Universal Studios logos from Hollywood and Florida, where it's that like the Art Deco neon, iconic.
So
I mean, it's Hollywood in a nutshell. Cannot be topped.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like bring it back forever because why even try make anything else?
The
Like,
amount
that
of
is
things
just
we
the
own
best
with
logo.
that on it is
It's
crazy.
and it's the colors of it. It's just perfect. So that is high on my list. Then we're gonna
Really
throw.
nice.
Then we're gonna throw in Chimelong Ocean Kingdom, which is a really artistic style jumping, which they don't actually jump in real life, but a whale shark. And the
They
whale
don't
shark
breach.
it's made out of 4 colors, which represent the 4 regions of the park. And it's just clean. It's easy. It's modern. Sometimes all I need is a really clean logo that you can slap on any photo.
It's very Chinese. Which
Very
I love.
Chinese. And then last but not least, Efteling.
Absolutely.
I mean, the Efteling logo,
The E.
it encompasses Efteling. The little E,
Absolutely.
the E everywhere, the E for everything, the E for...
Are you Dutch?
Ja, klein beetje. So, that is my little
I
top
agree.
5 park logos. I think it's cute.
Absolutely.
So we have Universal Studios.
Oh, yeah. We already added IOA, right, to our list of everyone's been?
Yeah, 'cause that was
And I
5.
guess
Yep.
Universal Studios is the final one.
Have you all been to Dollywood?
No, I actually am in Dollywood.
No.
Surprisingly.
Oh, okay.
Only half of us have been.
Oh, for some reason I
Haven't
thought
been
that we had
either.
all been. Okay. So, so then Universal. So we have 6 total.
Yeah,
That's not bad.
pretty
6.
darn good.
Okay. It's pretty good for the park logos. Yeah. We tend to agree on the style logo, maybe. Alrighty. Next up, Sven's category. Sven, introduce
the
it.
final category is, I called it sweet spot favorites. Like, it's the type of coasters where like it wouldn't be in a top 10 or 20 or something like that, but because of personal affection to the coaster, I thought it would be fun to do a little list of it and to highlight some of the more smaller coasters potentially, but just to put them out there a little bit and to let them shine a little bit.
Cute.
So, Ian,
Ian
take it
understood
away
the
with your
assignment.
sweet
I
spot
will.
favorites.
So I'm wearing my t-shirt Gemini at Cedar Point for me,
Mm-hmm.
Loch Ness Monster at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, Revolution at Six Flags Magic Mountain, Viper at Six Flags Great America, and this is a weird one, but any
So
zero
underrated.
Tivoli large installation really is like, I just am utterly charmed by them every time I ride it. So like that would be like
The double figure eight
like
ones.
the one at Cobra at Discovery. Is it Cobra at Discovery?
Discovery
What
Kingdom.
is it called? Like Discovery Kingdom.
Yeah.
Cobra or Harley Quinn's
Yeah.
Crazy Train at Great Adventure might be another one that people have ridden. I don't know, something about that layout. Just every
Catwoman
time I
Link.
ride it, I'm like, this is so
5
cute.
million.
yeah.
I
They're
love
so
those.
cute.
Is it the head choppers? Is it the length of the train being like 25,000
All the
vehicles?
above,
Like,
and like it just feels like such a perfect
All
family
the above.
coaster. I'm always giggling because it's like because the Tivoli models I feel like just have that shuffle, so you kind of actually sound like a choo-choo train like running through
Yeah.
the course, and like
And the sound
Oh,
of
yeah.
them, the sign of those tiny nylon
Yes.
wheels. Like,
And also, I was talking about the other day. It always kind of looks to me like they could snap off any second. They're like practically
really
roller
are.
skate
They're teeny
wheels,
tiny.
you know? Like they're so tiny.
Yeah, tiny wheels.
But I totally agree, because for the European coaster fans, you probably know the Like Me coaster at Plopsaland, or in Tripsdrill you have the
That's an especially good one. The
that
Caterpillar
one is
coaster.
one of the best maintained that I've
The landscaping on
I've
that
ever
is out of control. It's so
ridden.
good.
Fort Funds is a big one, I think, too.
This is the double figure eight. You have those
Yeah.
4 spots. To
And
put
for
in,
me
so, like,
personally-
you can put like really interesting, like even if it's a tree, like it's like it like creates like a themed environment because you have 4 zones to.
Gilroy Gardens has a good one that is very wooded, very forested.
Yeah, the one at Tripsdrill is called Rasender Tausendfüßler.
Of course.
I'm sorry for my German. But yeah, for me personally, I also really like those because my very first roller coaster was the Keverbaan. Either it was the Keverbaan at Plopsaland or at Meliepark, which is now Plopsaland, sorry, or at Bellewaerde Park, which is the oldest.
I feel like it's not think about it. There are so many of them because in my head I'm like, oh, the Boudewijn Sea Park one, oh this one, oh that one, oh this one. Like the list.
Oh,
is
but hang on,
like
Boudewijn Sea Park is a different one. That's a different
sorry.
model. Yeah, it's different. But
Wow.
and I actually operated that coaster at Plopsaland, which it had a manual brake,
weird.
so it was and it was like a joystick to brake the ride. So that's quite a fun summer.
That's what you imagine roller coasters being operated as a kid. You know,
It's
joystick.
like being, like a video game.
I do
But
want
like
to say
it was just a finger joystick, not like a major one
I
or
understand.
something.
Like a
Quite
trigger.
funny.
I do want to say, first of all, I
Yeah.
appreciate Viper at Great America being in there because our rides on that in 2020 were absolutely phenomenal, and I will never forget our superior 2 days of riding Viper the most.
We rode it 8 times.
And then Revolution at Magic Mountain, I appreciate because first of all, people don't talk about it enough. It's obviously iconic for being the first modern vertical loop, but also that vertical loop is still the best vertical loop. Doing that entire
the runway.
you know, just like the
loop.
running angle that's just like a straight piece of track into that loop is still one of the
The
best.
fact that was literally
moments of any
like the
coaster.
test subject, like they assembled just that track in the loop in the Schwarzkopf plant to
and then gets elevated.
see if it worked.
Yeah.
and then they sold it to Magic Mountain and wrapped a coaster around it.
Great choices. Great
I will
choices.
also say one last thing about Revolution. As a train coaster, it is so excellent and beautiful and
Superb.
just so pretty. Just like that, like as a train experience, I think it really holds up very strong. And absolutely, I will always plug Viper at Six Flags Great America. It is, in my opinion, one of the most re-rideable, perfect wooden coasters ever made. Awesome.
Totally.
Sven.
But speaking of Revolution, I also have a Revolution on my list, but this one is at Bobbejaanland, obviously. And like any Belgian coaster enthusiast that does not love this coaster, I'm like, what is going on?
No, this is iconic.
That's just
Call
like,
yourself a
it's such a
Belgian.
vibe.
You call yourself an
'Cause-
enthusiast.
and like there is a hardcore fan group of that coaster. It's almost a religion, and I love it because it takes you back and every detail in it. And they just renewed the coaster so that it can go on for a long time again. Because I mean it's quite unique. Still the longest train in existence up right now. So definitely needed to be on the list. Then one of my favorite drops on a roller coaster is Montaña Russa at Tibidabo, because that view is just amazing.
Vekoma.
It's and also it's smooth. It's a fun ride, so it had to be on the list. And then my favorite Movie Park Germany coaster, Van Helsing.
Yes.
Like you mentioned before, it's not perfect because some of the screens are questionable, but it's just like my mind cannot understand how that small of a height can create such a forceful experience. And right before the end, you have the mist effect, if it works, that is just haunting
I
almost.
shrieked when I rode it for the first time. I was young still, but oh my god, my best friend and I, we were riding it, and I still remember shrieking because it comes out of nowhere, and then the freaking whatever is that?
Oh,
like
yeah.
a vampire is on there. Oh my god, it was wild. We watched a preview of it last night. A few hours. Yeah, we loved that ride. Yeah,
Love that coaster. And then I want to talk about one at La Pal, which is called Yukon Quad. And so it's the Intamin, like SeaWorld has some of the jet skis
Straddle
style.
coasters.
Yeah, exactly.
being called
But
now.
Yukon Quad in La Pal for me is special because it's. I mean, I love the coaster type, but also the setting of it because it's in the Canada area of the park, and it's right next to the wolves, and the views that you have from the walkway next to the wolves towards the coaster are just stunning with the rock work and the landscaping that they used for it. So it's a bit of a shame that Juwelen in Sommerland is so hidden away from the people to see the actual coaster going. But here it's quite the opposite. You have so many angles to see it, and that's really part of the experience. And then finally, I've put Griffon on the list because I feel it's a coaster that's not much talked about. But I remember when I went to the U.S. for the first time, there were 3 parks that I did. So Carowinds, Six Flags Over Georgia, and Busch Gardens Williamsburg. And this was the coaster that stood out the most for me because, yeah, the trains are obviously unique. And then the top of the lift hill when you see, I guess it's the lake or the water, and the sunset. If I remember correctly, I feel like the sunset was going on. So I hope the orientation, it's not my mind, but that the orientation is indeed correct. And it's just, yeah, it's such a, especially if it's your first time in the US and coming from Europe to ride such a giant coaster, it was quite something, and still remember that.
So speaking of Griffon, I think we've all ridden Griffon, right? Like all 4 of us. Okay, so we've also all ridden Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we've also all ridden Revolution.
And Magic Mountain, yes.
Yes. Magic Mountain.
And we've all ridden.
And we've all ridden
large
Tivoli. Okay, great. So that's 4.
pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, Sven, it's interesting because I rewrote Griffon for the first time in a long time. And I feel like we get so cynical about dive machines as, like, coaster enthusiasts, but, like, it is really cool. Like, and it's also situated on, like, the high point of the park, so you really are above everything. So it's a good reminder to, like, appreciate the dive coasters, because I feel like we just kind of are like...
It's a beautiful, elegant ride.
Well, to speak of terrain, which I know is Ian's favorite buzzword, is that Griffon is terrain coaster. You get that second half and it dives off into the ravine to do that second, and having a 10-seat wide train and still managing to do a tiny little, what is it, like Immelman? I mean, yeah, that's a good,
it's an impressive
ride.
And they had to build it around the sky ride, accommodating the sky ride, and
You got best views from
keeping
Alpen
it
guys,
from obscuring that ride, and like Loch Ness Monster and Alpen guys. They made that ride. They made it look easy when they built that ride, and that was not an easy ride.
Yeah, a fun choice too. I didn't actually expect this on the list, so that's nice. Yeah.
All right, so my 5 for this, it was really coasters
Not
that I
very
have
surprising.
ridden a lot.
No, just being married to you, it's not very surprising.
Oh, you're not surprised.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good. Yeah, I'm like, these are just coasters that I've ridden a lot. These are like emotional support coasters that I have ridden many, many times that I adore. The first 2, Ninja at Magic Mountain and Matterhorn at Disneyland, are my tattoos, my first 2 tattoos, one on each ankle, because for Ninja, I've just always been fond of everything about it. The aesthetic, the style of coaster, the location, the integration with Jetstream. That's always going to be like the ride at Magic Mountain that I think about the most. And the logo is really cool. That's why it also just made a perfect tattoo. And then the Matterhorn bobsleds is just one that that was my first roller coaster. I rode it in July of 1994. And I'm so glad that it's not only a coaster that I get to ride pretty regularly, but also one that is just still so good. Like, it's very intense, and like it's rough on the lower back, especially with the new trains, but it's still a great ride and like thrilling and like it's intense. Like, I'm just delighted every time I ride it. I feel like it's nice to know that something that you enjoyed when you were a toddler is still something really enjoyable and likable. And then my first wooden coaster, the Giant Dipper at the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. I love that ride. That's another one that every time I ride it, I'm just so delighted at how well maintained it is. We just rode it a couple months ago.
I think Sven's about to ride it, right? Will it be open when you're going to go?
It's open all year. It's just weekends in the winter.
Yeah, so the plan is to go to Santa Cruz for sure. So,
and that's also my parents were ride
hope.
operators at the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, summer of 1980. So, if it weren't for the boardwalk and the Giant Dipper, my parents always said I wouldn't exist. They wouldn't have met. So, it's like the Giant Dipper is definitely the family crest. And then the last two are just coasters that I just ride a ton, or at least did in certain periods of my life. Incredible Hulk at Islands of Adventure, A, is a very nostalgic ride for me because I've loved it ever since it opened, and B, I just ride it all the time, and I love riding it. I love that it is a great 90s style classic coaster. Obviously, it's been retracked recently, but it still feels like a 90s B&M. The upward launch always slaps. Everything about the ride, I feel like, is just so entertaining. Kind of like how I'm amazed every time I ride Spider-Man that it's 25 years old, this design, and it still holds up really well. I feel that way about Hulk too, and I think about back in the 90s when modern launch coasters were in their infancy, and we were already firing people basically out of a cannon into a barrel roll and then plunging them into the lagoon. And I just love it. I could never get enough of Hulk. And then finally the Tennessee Tornado. Because during my time in Nashville, I lived there for 15 years. I never went to Opryland. Every park was always a drive. And in college, I started going to Dollywood quite a bit because they were really on the upswing with adding new coasters and stuff and expanding the park. But Tennessee Tornado is the one coaster that I rode. It's the only coaster that I think I've ridden at Dollywood every time I've been, because everything else has either hadn't been built yet, or there was at least one visit where Thunderhead wasn't open, or something like that. A Tennessee Tornado is just a great ride that, again, I could just never.
Well, that's underrated.
Could never ride it enough. Yeah, super underrated.
Building an entire drop as a tunnel through a mountain—that's expensive.
It's just fabulous. I think it's still one of Alan Schilke's best designs.
And we've ridden. All of us have ridden 3 of these, right? Ninja, Matterhorn, Hulk.
Yep.
Yeah.
That tracks. I was in the math.
correct.
And pretty soon, Ian, you've ridden the Giant Dipper, right? You've been to the boardwalk many times. I would assume, or at least a few times. Many,
adolescent memories.
So, yes. So I'm looking forward to hearing Sven's analysis. But be warned, it has the same rolling stock as Anaconda at Walligator. So
I'm careful about predicting if I ride a coaster or not in California because of my previous experiences.
Track record. I mean, you do go in the off season of off seasons, but I get it.
But I'm going again, and
I know,
the
same window, bro.
Yeah.
As far as that, not getting
the Giant Dipper can never be closed. It's too important.
And then I'm going to move into my list. Viper at Supergrass Magic Mountain, obvious.
Such a surprise.
Tattoo, Powerhouse, Mega Looper. Still think that we had a hand in making sure that ride got more popular. Movie Park Studio Tour at Movie Park. I mean, Movie Park's coming up a lot these days.
Careful, Sven's going to judge again.
I know, Svenjamin, I will not look at you in the camera while I say this, but I think Movie Park Studios is a highly underrated low coaster. I love it. For me, it's my childhood park. So, I was raised with Go to Move Park and Warner Brothers era and the post Warner Brothers era and Cop Car Chase and all that kind of stuff. And the whole ride just pays respect to every single past and present ride as that being part of the movie studio's legacy. And so, having a Cop Car Chase section of the queue and stuff, it's all, very cool. And then brings all that back into the actual ride with old props and kind of shout outs and little hidden parts of the ride that refer to these other attractions that they have. I think first of all, it's one of the best themed roller coasters in the world. Don't at me. Second of all, for a sentimental value, it's just it is the all-encapsulating little movie park ride, and it's a little movie park kid. I love that.
I feel it's the sentimental value that plays a big part in this. Yeah.
I don't have a
He
sentimental
doesn't have a sentimental value. He loves
appreciated
this
for it. I put it
thing.
in my top 10. Sven's just a hater.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're married to the guy that
To
has
this,
it. So.
you're married to
You're
this.
married
You
to this
said.
guy. Like, I don't even have a name anymore. Hi, my name is Sean. You listen to Coast Kings Radio.
I'm married to this.
Anyway, I will move on for Benjamin's sake. Powder Keg at Sold Out City. Like, what the hell is this little ride? Is it finished? No.
I'm so glad a pneumatically launched
so
coaster
good.
made it onto this.
But it's
special.
like it's an old Premier water coaster that's also now a launched SNS coaster. It has a quick little punchy little pneumatic launch, and then has beautiful views, and it has the weirdest layout that is ever laid out in the forest.
The laterals
with
when
that
you hit the old
giant
track
lateral
is so
turn.
crazy.
It's just one of those rides where, like, every time I ride it, I just giggle. I think it's so funny. Mm-hmm. And it has that weird, like, switch track. Like, it does a bunch of stuff it doesn't need to do, and it makes it really quirky and one of a kind. And then Big Grizzly Runaway Mine Cars at Hong Kong Disneyland. We just rode it a lot a couple weeks ago when
It's
we
such
were
a
there for
great ride.
vacation. And that ride never fails to make me smile. The whole theme of, like, the quirky little grizzlies that, you know, jack up the switches of the rails on the mine cars, the mine track, combined with an incredibly long layout. I mean, this makes the Big Thunder Mountain seem short. It's just, this goes on forever. Good mix of forces, launches, backwards drops, forwards drops. You know, it has all of it. So that's a cute little ride. And last but absolutely not least is Flug van Novgorod and Hansa Park, because that, I think, is one of the few rides where I had actual emotion getting off.
Yeah, your
I have a pretty
reaction
straight
to that
face.
ride was
I
so
don't generally
amazing.
emote a whole lot, and I was emoting on that. Like, it was just, come on, like, you've ridden it, right, Sven? Like, isn't that the freaking craziest
yeah,
little
yeah,
ride? Like, oh my god, that is, the dark ride portion is
first
cute,
ride-
but
My first ride on it, I was so surprised by the launch. Like, I did not
Yeah.
see it coming because I didn't know anything about the ride. So
and then the elements it does in the dark, and it's so smooth.
I don't
and,
know. I'm amazed how good and smooth that ride is, and how not good and not smooth all the other
It's not an accurate
Eurofighters are
representation of
from
a
that
Eurofighter.
era.
Yeah.
Like, I just rode Saw, and it was miserable. Mystery Mine, you know, is an ass kicker, and then, like, somehow Flug van Novgorod was spared the.
And that launch is incredible. I mean, first of all, I didn't know when it was coming, and they don't have a launch. And then the speed of it, I mean, I was
Yeah.
just taken aback. And everything it does inside those beautifully hidden buildings. I mean, it looks like a
It's
nice theme
so
park
unassuming.
building, but then it has
It
all these
really,
elements.
you
hidden
really
in
get
there.
got by that ride. It really
Yeah.
fools
but the
you.
the exit is so random though.
Oh, where you just kind of, I forgot what it is.
It's a very long
Spit
exit.
out.
Like, it takes you
It's a maze.
across the park.
Oh,
the exit is a
I do
maze
remember
to get
this now.
out.
That's right, yeah.
They didn't want people to be able to get back in line too quickly.
Super random, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Sean, I'm surprised that Python was not on your.
I mean, I love Python. I have a sweet spot
It's
for
like
it.
on your
but-
body. You have a literal physical spot for it, also.
Yeah, but then, you know, after Viper, which I think still is more important to me than Python, surprisingly, I think that, because, you know, it's a Viper is a terrain coaster.
Yes, it
Yes, it is.
But then Movie Park Studios, Powder Cake, all the other four coasters have something really unique going on, and I don't think there's anything even close to them existing. Viper, of course, has had other coasters similar to it, but to put a production model on there, I don't know. I just went with some stuff that I really love for the quirks and the uniqueness and the differences. So that's why my list is the way it is. Thank you very
And
much.
I didn't include.
And now,
I was gonna say I
Nice.
didn't
Oh,
include
sorry. Go
Vortex,
ahead.
and that's tattooed on my body, so it's okay.
Oh, that's true.
there you go.
That's fair. Yeah.
Ugh, I miss Vortex.
Wow, now I'm amazed you didn't include Vortex.
Just to say, I don't have any
Sven
tattoos.
is
Sven, well, okay.
virgin skin.
I have a question though for Sven.
Sven is afraid of needles.
Sven, if you were to have a tattoo of a roller coaster, which you wouldn't probably, knowing you, but if you would, what would it be? What ride would be like the one for you? Like
Oof.
forever, eternally engraved?
It's hard. That's hard to say. I need to think about that one.
Would it
Maybe
be
by
one
the end
maybe
of
that
the
you
episode, I'll
operated?
have an answer.
Yeah, by the end of the episode, we're going to end with your tattoo choice.
Yeah. About 5 minutes.
So for the actual sweet spot coasters we've all ridden, I think Viper, we've all ridden Viper, haven't we not?
Yes.
And I think that's it. So we have 8 total sweet spot coasters we've all ridden. That's actually
Kinda
quite good.
interesting.
That's the highest number on our list so far.
Interesting.
You know, that is actually very interesting. So
It does
maybe
show that we
our cohesive
we've
team.
yeah, we find each other.
Yeah, like we respect each other's.
We find each other in every universe.
And I will say, because now we're done with all the top 5s and top 40. And now looking back at this, and I'm starting to see trends. I'm starting to see like there's these parks that keep coming forward. It's like Disneyland Paris, Efteling, Europa Park, Silverdale City, Islands of Adventure, Movie Park Germany. These are the parks that keep coming forward in these lists, surprisingly. So yeah, it's something to think about. I never really quite thought like, well, what are the all-encompassing parks? But think about it, these parks keep coming back. Those are our secret little parks. Okay, cool. So for the next section of our episode, which is gearing towards the end, we're going to discuss a couple of moments looking back at our previous 162 episodes of Coast to Kings Radio, plus 100 official episodes, or including 100 official episodes, and kind of talk about some of the stuff that if you've never listened to these before and you want to go back and look them up, these are good things to look up. I'm going to start with what is actually our biggest episode ever, listener-wise, is the Jaga Lake Too Big to Thrive episode. Of course, we had to do eventually something on Jaga Lake, but I didn't expect it to take off the way it did. It actually entered the normie sphere, and much beyond the theme park nerds, it just ended up on these pages in Aurora, Ohio, and we had hundreds of thousands of shares. I mean, like, we had a good amount of people. And it just did really well, and it kind of gets, and everyone started commenting, "Oh, I remember going here. This is the reason it closed." And it got kind of racist at one point. And we're like, "Do we delete these comments, or like, what do we do?" It got kind of messy, but you know what? The episode got a lot of airtime, and of course, it was the one time we used these new microphones that didn't work, so the quality is not even that great. But if you haven't listened to the Jaga Lake episode, go do that. And then I think my favorite miniseries that we did was the Coast to Kings A through Z miniseries, where every week, between the four of us, we would rotate. And I think Alex and I would do all of ours together because, that's a theme. And every week we would do a different ride based on, the alphabet A through Z. And I still think that is like the best series. I want to bring that back with theme parks. Are we thinking we can do that next season?
We can try.
We can try.
You can try, right? I mean, there must be some letters that there's no theme park for, but even the Q has a park, Quasi, right? Are there any other letters that seem difficult? The X, is that
X
park?
is the park in Guatemala, so
I guess we can do a little history lesson on the park in Guatemala.
That was so much fun, and I think, honestly, kind of ambitious looking back. Like, we were like, this will be fun, but it was like a lot. There was a lot of content that...
And it turned into a lot of work.
But you know what? It worked,
but it was cool. It was worthy.
People listened to it. People really seemed to like it. And they were fun. I mean, what is it, like 5 to 10 minutes of talking about Dragon Ocean Park or whatever? Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was a fun series. I think we should bring it back, but we should either bring it back... We should do the parks first, and then we should bring this back in the future, but different rides. I think, because there's so many different rides for each letter. So then we once did a rapid-fire Q&A episode, where we asked our followers to send us the most random questions, and then we all, without looking at them, we answered them in real time. I remember really liking doing that. I feel like I could bring that back.
That would be nice to do that again.
Yeah. Maybe this time we should do it with Ian. Also included in that. Then we did an episode, Is It a Credit or Not? Where we discussed
that
what
was
we
really
count
fun.
as
That
credits.
got tense.
That was wild.
That was a really fun one.
That was a good episode. I think... I don't exactly remember the details of this episode as well, but it is... The premise of this following episode is that we, in real time,
notes for this.
decided... So we all had already kind of prefigured what we would do as a theme park. Like, what would you be your theme of your area? We were creating a theme park together. Let me say that first. And then we would all... this was Sven, Alex, and I. We would then pick what we would do as like a theme of an area. What would be our main ride, our main dark ride, our main roller coaster, main restaurant, concept, whatever. And then as the fourth part of the park was in real time created with the three of us. And I think that is still one of the wildest episodes. It's so funny. I mean, it is so funny. We got to this point where I guess Journey to Center of the Earth was turned into like a renewable energy ride.
I just remember like erupting out of the volcano, and then there were windmills. It was just so great. It was such a fever dream episode.
Oh my
I laughed
God.
so hard.
We need to do a couple of those original kind of episodes again next season. In fact, I would be cool. I would be down revisiting our theme park with the four of us.
Ian and I, like, we've talked a little bit about like taking another swing at the Great America concept, where the park is themed to different cities and regions that maybe are not as frequently covered. Like, every park wants to have a New Orleans area and, like, Hollywood and New York and stuff, but we're like, well, what if a park had an area themed to the San Antonio Riverwalk or a Palm Springs water park or Chicago?
Or a Bay Area business park.
And it's like, oh, what's...
Cleveland. Speaking
Ian, you were going to
I was going to say, speaking of like, the Northeast Ohioans that found that Geauga Lake article, as our Ohio representative, they are a passionate people. So you guys didn't know what you were walking into.
They're very passionate.
Very passionate.
There's not a lot going on in Youngstown these days, so they just spend a lot of time on the internet.
It was heated arguments about which race was to blame for the closure of one side of the lake. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell?
It's crazy. Sven is judging.
Sven, it was the most American thing.
Americans.
I'm just happy that people were interested and that people were committed to it. So
we have to, by the way, on that topic, we have to do an Astroworld episode. I want Ian in that one.
I love it.
Because Ian, I think, is passionate about this era.
Yeah.
We have to do an episode on Astroworld in the same vein of Geauga Lake, like very historical and factual
that park
and
has
highly
such a rich
researched.
history. It is such a shame that
but
we
those
lost
episodes will last parks.
I would love to hear the same about the Hard Rock Park.
Yes,
Oh my God, yes. Let me make a note. Yeah, so Astroworld and Hard Rock for next season. Guys, you heard it here first.
The
Tune
Life
in.
in the Fast Lane Eagles coaster was my 150th.
I need to go to Vietnam just to ride
Nice.
Maximum RPM and to ride...
Maximum RPM got
She's
scrapped.
dead, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And to ride Led Zeppelin in
Led
its
Zeppelin.
Dragon version.
Dragon Tail.
Dragon Tail.
I would love talking about that park. It's core memory.
And then we did a couple episodes on manufacturers. We did an Intamin showcase, B&M showcase, double Vekoma showcase, because Vekoma. And then one of another favorite miniseries, I think was the first miniseries, Ian, am I correct on this? This was the original
Lost
miniseries?
Coasters. Yeah.
Feature them too.
Yeah, this was in 2020,
Yeah,
right?
2020
Ian
2021.
was like... The
You wanna
creative
introduce it?
passion was overflowing.
Right. I mean, this was a good... This started us off right. You want to tell us what it was again?
So it was like the Lost Coasters of California. So I did all the coasters. I did post Great America, so like from the 70s, the regional theme park on, and all the coasters that have closed in California from then was the present of 2020, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, even things like a core part of my childhood was in Vertigo at Great America.
Oh,
And
Yep,
that's
me
like
too.
a piece of history now, and that's really strange that that's a piece of history. But that was my first thing I did.
It's
and
so
it was a lot of
sad to
fun.
me.
It's giving Lost Coast of Ohio should be coming.
Oh, I could probably do that.
Because now between there's
Lost Coasters of
a
Ohio.
couple of really interesting Lost Coasts in Ohio.
Yeah, Firehawk.
Not to sing it to work, Ian, but
Cobra.
that is your next. that is your series.
Raging
It was
Wolf
fun
Bobs.
editing those episodes as well, because finding the right vibe
yeah,
of
because
the
we would do
music.
the different
and
eras.
the-
I had Sven do
it was-
music for each of the eras that we were in.
Yeah.
which was really fun.
Oh, that is cute. That's right. That's
yes.
right.
And then also but that was the next minisodes, right? Like
Oh
the
yeah, I did
commercials
Regional Theme
that we
Parks as
used
another
for.
minisode series this past season, and Sven.
Yes.
You guys ate
Sven and I
with
had
Yeah.
that project.
I do want to give a little shout outs here from Alex and I, particularly myself. I want to give a shout out to Sven for doing all the editing for the podcast. So there's a lot of me just sending files to Sven and being like, hey, I'll send you an email with the description, and then, he does all the editing, and then he gets it ready for publishing. So thank you for that. And Ian, thank you so much for all your contributions when it comes to the minisode series, because Ian really is the one who... I can't remember who came up with the idea. I don't want to put words in the wrong mouth. I don't remember, but
so.
Ian, I think, he was the originator of the miniseries for Coast of Kings. And
I think
so.
I love
thank you guys for
Andrew's
that.
one on the history of
that one's
Spain's
really
parks,
good.
too.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was
Wonderful.
I love that.
And then we also did a couple of collabs. I want to do a couple more next season. I always say that, and then I'm busy and I don't get to it.
We
But
don't like people.
Next season, we're gonna find someone, and I have some people on my list. that I'm
Charlotte
gonna
will do it.
Try and do it with.
Yeah.
But we did a collabs with CoasterBot and the Lito Coaster couple, which are fun collabs to listen back to, especially because the Lito Coaster couple one was with Sven, and it was when Conda and Ride to Happiness were being built, and also after they were built. So that's really fun to listen to both parts.
Plus, I think it was one of our first episodes on location because we
Yeah,
filmed
one
that
of our
in the
only, too.
bar. Yeah, we filmed that in the outside bar of the Plopsaland Hotel.
no
so
idea.
that
That's
was.
awesome.
I feel like I want to do more.
Did I say
on
film? We
location
recorded. Sorry, we recorded that at the.
I wonder how
that was
easy it is to
fun.
do on location because it sounds so hard. I mean, Sven made it work, but God, it sounds kind of fun to do like real life, like in the moment at the parks kind of stuff. But
I mean, we were sitting there with our laptops in the hotel with a drink next to us, so
We
it was quite
recorded a
fun.
podcast at the hotel that we were staying at when we went to Kennywood last
yeah,
time
we
for
did.
the food festival.
Okay.
Yeah, that's as close as we've got. Yeah. And then we also did call out with CoasterBot, which especially in 2020 was a very big brand. They have some of the most educational videos out there, which is cool.
Oh yeah.
Especially for like the nerds among us, including us. And so that was a fun one as well. And of course, British accent, always fun on the show. And with that was kind of, I mean, any more highlights you guys want to add to that? I guess kind of threw some together, but any more highlights you want to add to that?
I think you covered
No,
it.
I think there's a whole collection of episodes to listen to, and yeah, like you said, the A to Z miniseries. That's definitely one. You can find the article on the website, which covers all of them in one page, so that you can go through our whole coaster alphabet.
On
It was
thecoastergames.com.
so fun. Yeah.
And I think it's kind of time to talk a little bit about what's ahead. I think we have a few more episodes coming up before the end of the year or the end of the season, which may end early next year. We're gonna do Alex and I are gonna do a quick series about some of our layover adventures because Alex and I have just done some of our parks on our layovers on our own. Like Alex did Thor Park, I just did Ocean Park in Hong Kong. And then we are having a layover. Everything goes as planned. Park at Warner Madrid. We're doing Winter Wonderland, Efteling on layover. So we are just going to kind of combine them and make it into a couple of shorter episodes about our layover adventures. We still have two things we're going to publish about our recent Asia trip because we did China and Japan and Hong Kong. And so we're going to do a Tokyo episode, including Disney. And we're going to talk about Xi'an, a little bit of culture, and then two of the big theme parks we visited there. And then I also want to do an episode on the tea reports, which I always find massively fascinating. I can be scrolling through this tea report for
I could pour on it
hours.
for hours.
In fact, if either of you guys want to join on that, we can totally orchestrate that. That'd be fun. We usually call it "spill the tea" or "spilling
Spill the tea, yeah.
which I think is it's kind of a cute name. So we'll bring that before the end of the year, and we probably want to do an end of the year episode about all the new rides coming next year.
Yes.
And there's gonna be an episode with Sven and Ian just doing their thing, leaving Alex and I.
Well, we can tell you
out
what
of
it
it.
is. So Sven and I, because we're from such different regions, we are planning a coaster trip, potential coaster trip for the other person. So if I was to fly into Brussels,
fun.
Oh my
or
god!
if Sven was to fly into Columbus, like, what would we do for, like, I think we're doing,
Yes.
what parks
What
would we hit,
parks
like,
would we
and-
advise?
I
and
love that
Where would we go?
so much.
That's gonna be
love
awesome.
it.
No, I'm really looking
Oh my
forward to hearing
God.
that, especially for the flying into Columbus, Ohio part.
Yeah.
Direct from Brussels.
Yeah.
Very different.
Columbus.
But you'll be surprised about the European parks as well. So
Yeah. No, this is going to be awesome, guys. So, yeah, this will also be included by the end of the season, which is also season 5, which is the longest running season we've ever had. It started, I believe, in August of 2023, or if not earlier. Maybe, yeah, I think it started late August 2023.
Yeah.
So this will be the longest season, and then we're probably going to chop it into shorter seasons again. It just kind of worked out that way. And season 4, we kind of left on without really finishing it up, and I didn't want to do that. So this time, we just kept the season going until we're at a good stopping point. And then I believe it is healthiest for us to take a 5 to 6 month break. And then in the summer, we'll start it back up when park season starts. Alex and I will have had our first big international trip. Sven will have had trips. Ian will have had trips.
Yes.
We'll have time to start working on our next miniseries. Gives us a couple months to kind of align everything and make changes if we want to for the 6th season. What are we doing when we're not recording? What are we visiting? What are we traveling to?
Oh, I'm this weekend. I'm going to Six Flags Over Texas. I have a business trip in Dallas.
Yay!
I'm looking for the Holiday Festival on a Sunday, and so my direct flight from Ohio to Texas happened to be early in the afternoon, and so I'm spending the evening at Six Flags Over Texas for the first time. So I'm really excited for that. And then before that, I'm going to Kings Island this Friday for some night rides on the Beast.
Look at him.
Because
Look at her go.
And night rides on Adventure
of
Express,
course.
please.
And the Bat, actually, if I have the chance.
The nighttime ride.
And the Bat.
The Bat slash Top Gun slash all the above. I have to remind myself that even being in Ohio, it is like a wealth of coaster riches that I forget about. I will say I'm not going to Cedar Point this year only because Top Thrill 2 was a mess and I just haven't bothered. But we'll see. And then nothing solidly planned after that, but I'm sure stuff will emerge as time goes on.
Well, next year I think the three of us and maybe Sven can come would be kind of cute too. But Great America and Cedar Point, I think, will be a fun little like 2-park trip.
Yes.
Because they're relatively close, which is nice. Because they're both getting major new coasters, including a Tilt coaster.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Sven, what are you doing?
Well, for me, it's quite a busy end of the year because I'm playing in a local production of The Little Mermaid as Prince Eric and the ensemble. But I still have... and it's all sold out, so that's crazy. Like in 3 days, everything is gone. So that's like 7,500 tickets gone. So it's insane. But however, on Monday I'm visiting Efteling to ride the Danse Macabre, and then I'm also doing the first day of Wintertraum in Phantasialand to end my 2024 season. And then next year, as mentioned, in February, I'm going to the West Coast to visit, mostly doing national parks, but of course we're doing Disneyland, Universal, and the Santa Cruz Boardwalk.
Amazing. That'll be so exciting.
And after that, my goal next year is to visit all the Walibi parks, because all of them are opening... no, not all of them. Well, the Belgian and the Dutch one are opening new coasters, and Walibi Rhône-Alpes opened their latest coaster this year. So that's my goal. I want those three next year.
Yeah, well, we're definitely going to come to Walibi Holland and Walibi Belgium next year, too, for that. And I want to go to Rhône-Alpes, but I can see like the location's not ideal from the U.S. But who knows, maybe we'll fit in. For us, well, we got a couple layovers coming up. So we're doing Madrid together. We're leaving tomorrow for that, just for a day. We're going to go to Park at Warner. They're open till midnight, so we'll try to get some night rides in on Stuntfall. And then we are doing Efteling a couple days later. We're missing Sven by a few days, unfortunately, but we're going to also try to do Danse Macabre. Then we are going to go to Winter Wonderland later in the month in Hyde Park, because I have actually never ridden Olympia Looping, believe it or not. So that is time. It's time. So we're doing that in London, and this is all on work layovers. So if the flights leave, then it should be good. So that's exciting. And then for the rest of this year, we got Disneyland Paris coming up next month for 4 days. Just our winter getaway. We're shooting the gap where all the rides are open and the Christmas stuff is happening. We're doing that, and then we're trying to go to Disneyland before the end of the year and maybe early next year. And then we're planning a big UK trip because I need to get to the UK parks for the spring, and maybe Energylandia and Legendia and that as well. And then that is about it for like confirmed plans and ideas before the next season. Yeah, so 45 parks, yeah. Maybe we'll go to Shanghai Disney in February if it goes according to plan, because I want to take my little brother to China.
Oh, fun.
But lots to look forward to.
Yeah, so, but
lots of material.
Lots of material for when we're not here. So yeah, that kind of rounds up our plans. This rounds up our episode. And if everyone's still with us after these 2 hours and however many minutes, it was a pleasure.
This is insane.
Thank you. Yeah, this is by far, for one continuous, technically speaking, episode, the longest we've ever done. But we had like 2 hours, 4 hours total now.
Good job.
4 hour and 15 minutes special.
This is, I should have said this at the beginning, but these are the type of episodes that you want to do on a road trip. That you want to listen to.
If you're with us and you figured that, do this on a road trip. That's
if you're driving to Dollywood from Nashville, we've got something for you.
Yeah.
And I also promised that we wanted to end the episode with my tattoo.
Yes.
So I have decided that I would take one that it wouldn't be a coaster, but I think it would be linked to Tower of Terror.
Oh, I love that.
Really?
Because that ride
I
is
respect
just,
it.
yeah.
Great choice.
I love how
something-
much you love the ride and has
something
never been
unique.
mentioned once this whole episode.
Yeah.
4 hours.
True,
of
but
screen
now
time.
now it is. But if I were to
We
choose
didn't do top 5 drop
something,
towers, so.
we could. But if I were to limit myself to coasters, I guess I'm really a big fan of the hyperspace mountain building in Disneyland Paris. So
Respected.
could be.
That's still
Yeah.
look really cool.
Alrighty, and with that, right? Ugh. And with that, we are going to wrap up our longest probably episode ever. That's split into 2, so maybe not. We want to thank everyone listening for your continuation of listening through all these episodes, being with us, the Coaster Kings, for all these years. Make sure to visit thecoasterkings.com for, again, all of our past articles. And I want to thank Sven and Ian personally very much for all you guys have done for Coaster Kings. We appreciate you. We look forward to visiting parks, riding rides with you guys both very soon. Whether that be in Europe, America, wherever we find each other. Thank you guys, really, so much. for
But
all you've
thank
done.
you too, Sean, because without you, we wouldn't be here.
I'll take it. Thank you. All right, guys. And with that, we thank you so
And
very
we love
much.
you too, Alex.
We love
Oh
you
yeah.
too.
Alex is here as well.
I'm here.
And with that, we wanna end this episode. Thanks everyone for listening once again, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.